Side Scrolls is brought to you by you. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/sidescrollers. It's time for Side Scrollers on YouTube.com. With me, Stuttering Craig. You got a goal? Go get it. Adam Crigler.
Hi, Betty.
Blab.
Hi, chat. I love you. Mwah.
And producer extraordinaire, Travis Key.
Hi, guys.
And brought to you by you, the G2 community, at patreon.com/sidescrollers. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on planet Earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and Twitch.tv. For how long? We don't know because we're not signing your stupid terms of service, Twitch. Anyways, welcome on out. Welcome, everybody. It is a Thursday, which means it's interview day here on Side Scrollers, and I'm going to be going one-on-one with my boy Adam Crigler. Very, very excited for this. Why? Because we've had him on the show for such a long time, because had so many stops along the way that we actually haven't had an opportunity to actually talk about those. So we're going to do that today. So Blabs is hanging out in the background. Trav hanging out in the background as well. We'll get to Adam in just a second. But if you are tuning in, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new, hit the subscribe button, because coming up, if you like interviews, we have got a bunch of great interviews along the way, including next week, we're going to have Salty Cracker, the YouTube extraordinaire, joining us. And the following week, Razor Fist will be joining us as well. So lots of great folks on the way. So hit the subscribe button to join us for those interviews on Thursdays. Try to get one every week. We'll see how it goes. Greatly appreciate you guys popping in. So with that said, very excited to get into the show today. If you guys are new, once again, make sure you also subscribe to the Side Scrollers Plays channel, brand new over on YouTube, obviously. Just past 3,000 subscribers, 3,200 actually. So if you guys want to watch gameplay and stuff from myself and the crew and Blabs and all this stuff, feel free to hop in over there. The Retro Gaming Police is going to be on really soon. Blabs Versus and me playing all sorts of classic old school stuff with the occasional first-person shooter popped in. So obviously, if you're watching over on Rumble, hit the follow button over there as well, as we grow towards 3,000. All organic, which is great. Big shout out to Boss Hog right out the bat, coming in with the $5 super chat saying, hashtag no Blabs, no peace. No, as I said in the chat, Blabs is here. She can come in anytime. If Blabs has a question for Adam Crigler, she can ask Adam Crigler a question at any time. Adam Crigler, Adam Crigler. Say it with your face. Say it with your chest all the time. If you guys like to ask a question to Adam, it's a great opportunity to do so. Obviously, he's live. You guys can see him over on his channel, over on Rumble, over on Locals. The Crigler Show, you can find him over there. But let's bring him in. He's my boy. It's Adam Crigler. How are you, buddy?
What's up, buddy?
So I'm excited to do this. And this is something that I've wanted to do with you for a while, because we do these interviews on the show. And and I realized, I was like, man, you've had so many stops along the way that we haven't, like, I don't know. I'm always interested in people's like journeys, their paths that they take to get to where they're at. And you've had these like stops along the way, which are notable. And I think when people look at some of those stops, they say, oh, that's really cool. So I wanted to talk about those with you. So
sounds fun.
Now you said nothing is off limits, which is great, because that's one of my things. I don't, so I'm going to ask questions, and if you want to answer them, you answer me. If you don't, you don't. So let's just start off like at the beginning, like in the beginning. You're
the big bang.
The bang, the early bang. I'm talking about bam, bam, right? No, but so let's talk about your childhood first, because that's something I don't know a whole lot about. Like, where did you grow up? Talk about your parents. Do you have any brothers or sisters? Just lay the groundwork there.
I was born in Chicago in the early 80s. My parents were young, too young to have kids, but they, back in the day, they when you get pregnant, you just, all right, we're gonna have kids now and get jobs. And my dad gave up his career of being a stunt man. He wanted to be a
Whoa,
stunt man.
whoa, whoa! Stop. Okay, your dad wanted to be a stuntman.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
he successful? Did he become a stuntman at any time?
He had like a full scholarship to be a stuntman at like a stuntman school, because he actually was a state champion of trampoline. Like my
That's
dad was like a trampoline beast, like spinning and all this crazy stuff. There's this image growing up. I could see it. It's like a young strapping lad that was my dad at like 20, upside down in like a perfect tuck, toes pointed out, and I'm just like I could see that image. It's like burned in my head because just like when you walked into my kitchen as a kid, it was just on the wall there. So, but yeah, he gave that up and started working full time for uh my grandfather, my mother's dad, doing, I don't know, just like building stuff. He rented out different buildings, and yeah, and that led to me and my two sisters living with my dad. My mom actually left when I was young. She went to ski in Colorado, and I didn't see her for like 10 years.
Oh, so you grew
Just
up with your dad?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Huh.
very people don't really know about that, and, my dad actually married my I don't know if she was my kindergarten teacher. She was, my dad the school that I went to that he would drop us off at when he worked, there was a teacher that he was totally into, and, I guess he asked her for a couple years, and eventually she went out on a date with him, and her parents hated it because he had 3 kids, and she was, like, 22 or something, 23, teaching. My dad was 10 years older than her, and,
Well, wait. So your mom left. She went to go.
yeah,
She went to go skiing. It's
I
like
think.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
She left. Now, did your parents actually divorce, or was your
Oh, yeah, well, there's a lot more
okay?
drama there, but, that's didn't affect me. I wasn't a part of that, so
Okay. Well,
and,
I guess maybe back up. So, and I don't want to me to get too personal, but I'm just trying to follow. So, when your parents were your parents married when they had
yeah, they married. They
okay,
married while with my older sister.
got it. Okay.
When she was in the oven, and then, after my close I have 3 sisters, but two full sisters, and then I'll get into the rest of the siblings later, but at this time, I only had two siblings, and after my younger sister, was born, that's when, my mom and my dad split, and my mom left. So, and then, yeah, I I actually I grew up with my dad, but I didn't really hang out with my dad much. My dad every weekend, I would actually spend the time at my grandparents', my mother's parents. Like, they really wanted to spend a lot of time with us, so, we just ended up going there, and I basically it was like a mixture of, like, being raised by my dad and my mom's dad. Those were, like, the 2 figures in my life, and, like, I don't know, my mom and my stepmom were both kinda, like, just there. I don't know, I didn't really know my mom until I was a teenager, but, yeah, my stepmom and she had her kids, and I had I don't know, and my sisters.
So, was your stepmom your kindergarten teacher as well?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I don't remember if it was my like, preschool or something like that,
Mhm.
That's how my dad met her.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, okay, so you grew up. You got two sisters. You got and a stepsister, right? So three siblings, right?
Well, no. No, no, no.
I'm sorry.
No, no, they're all half siblings,
Okay,
but they come later. So my dad and my stepmom had 2 boys, so my 2 brothers. I mean, I don't consider them half brothers, they're my
right,
brothers,
right.
so I think the half thing is weird. Um, I don't treat them any differently than my sisters that are, like, my full sisters or whatever, so but
Just
yeah.
different moms. That's all. Just
Yeah,
different, yeah,
yeah,
right. Got it.
and my mom remarried and had another daughter, So I have 3 sisters total, 2 brothers. Just, a couple different family trees there.
You actually have a big ass family.
Oh, you have no idea. That's just my siblings. My my father's mother, Flo Crigler, she has over 100 human beings underneath her in the family tree. I think I have something like 58 cousins on my dad's side alone.
So you
And my cousins have kids.
Like, your family tree is pretty extended to the point where you may have dated a cousin at some point. with 58 out there, that's crazy. Wow.
No, I don't think that. Yeah, shit, I don't know. Who knows?
So you grew up. You got these 2 male figures in your life. You got your dad and you got your mom's dad, your grandpa, and they're kind of the 2 main male figures in your life. Did you have any early life lessons that were taught to you? Were they the ones who instilled your kind of your foundation as a person?
Yeah, my father taught me when the going gets tough, work harder. And I learned that in my life. Like throughout my 20s, like 20-year-olds, you're an idiot. Early 20s, I thought I knew the world. Everyone does. All teenagers do. But once I went out on my own and realized how it was tough, and you have to actually like work hard for life. I really came to appreciate seeing what my dad did when my mom left, and he didn't give up. He just worked harder and provided for me and my sisters, and I'll never forget that. I love my dad. And my grandfather, he was like the glue of a lot of my mother's family, like on her side. And he died when he was 56, so he was really young, and it was like 96 when that happened. So I was 12. But before that, as I said, I spent a lot of time with my mother's parents so with her side of the family, they were always doing like family gatherings, family parties. And after he left, I noticed that nobody got together anymore. So it was really apparent after that happened that I realized how much he did to actually make things happen. And I really liked that about him and the community family aspect of it, and like keeping people together. And I missed it after he was gone. And it made me realize how much nowadays that actually happens a lot, where people don't they don't do family gatherings anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they do. All right. And I'm glad that they do. I like hearing about your family and like how you guys do your family gathering stuff, and like how you dedicate time for it. Like that's awesome. I love that. I want more of that energy in the world. And that's part of the reason why I'm here in Sweden, because my wife, we're very close to my wife's family, and my family's all over the place. So raising kids, like I grew up in my in-laws, or not my in-laws, but my mother's parents. So they were more and more far. That's what I called them, and that's actually Swedish for grandpa and grandma and grandpa. But it's more is mother's mother, and more far is mother's father. So it's pretty easy. So my kids will actually have a more far and more here in Sweden. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, so okay. I was doing the math.
Sorry, I'm jumping around here.
No. That's awesome. I was doing the math on your mom's grandpa. So you said he died when he was 56. You were 12, which means that he was 44 when he became a grandfather, which is like just doing the math on that. I mean, that means he had kids when he was young, right? And it also kind of goes to
my mom was really young when she had me in my like early 20s. I think she was 20 when she had my older sister, and then 21 turning 22 when she had me. So she was really young.
Yeah. See,
but it's still true. Yeah, my grandfather was young, guys.
Right. I'm thinking like when I think young, I think like 16, right? Like that's
no,
really
he wasn't
young.
that young.
Right.
He was in his like mid 20s, I guess, but
which I think is reasonable. I think it's very reasonable.
Well, they got married. They were like high school, like my more and more for her, they were together and like got married and like he started working. It was like the classic nuclear, she's the wife at home and he works, and provides.
Right.
So yeah,
The
they got
traditional
right to
roles.
work.
Right.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
to work, I guess.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So you had your family. When did you like decide? You talked about when you went out on your own. Like, what was the first step for you going out and going on your own? Was your first step going on your own when you started modeling, or was that before? Were you like,
I think before we even get there, I have to talk about like my teenage years
yeah,
because
for sure.
there was a few times that and some things happened throughout my teenage years that actually sparked me wanting to be on my own. So when I turned 13, I actually went to live with my mom. I left my dad's house and I was like, I want to live with my mom. I wasn't getting along with my stepmom. She had her two sons, or my brothers, but it felt like they were her sons and I wasn't. So I had this like idea in my head that like I didn't feel like I belonged.
So
Um,
that's what kind of drove you to say, I want to live with my mom.
yeah, yeah. So when
Mhm.
I was 13, I moved to Philadelphia to live with my mother, and that's when I went to school in West Philadelphia.
Born and
And
raised.
no, I wasn't. It was born in
I
Chicago,
know, I
but
know, I know. I'm just going with the assumption.
but honestly, I love that high school. That high school, like thinking back about that high school, like it was such a perfect blend of like all different like personalities, races, like everything you could think of like in a classic high school. It was classic. It was like 8 periods a day, the bells. We had a pool. There was a pool in the school still. It was like the very end of what I feel like the classic school was, like archery. What where does archery in school anymore? Like hell no, right? They're probably worried
Depend
someone's gonna shoot someone. You know what I
right.
mean?
Depends where you live.
With
Depends where you live. Yeah, for
I guess
sure.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
true, true. I feel like I was on the last edge of it, but anyway, I when I was 15, my mom and my stepdad took me to a Led Zeppelin concert. It wasn't Led Zeppelin, it was Page and Plant, but the drummer was John Bonham's son. They were doing a reunion tour in 1997, or maybe I was 13. Well, it was 97 in Philadelphia, and I went and saw them. And I remember my mom said, "Look, don't judge me for this." And I was like, I'm like a young teenager. She like turns around and asks the guy behind her, like, "Can I hit that?" She's like, first time I ever seen weed. I never had heard of it, but it was like, I don't know, like a year after that, where they gave me a beer and smoked a bowl with me at a party. And then I started smoking and drinking and smoking cigarettes. And I was like 15 and I kind of like fell into a bad crowd in Philadelphia.
So
And
your
then
mom, your step or your mom actually introduced
yeah,
you to weed and alcohol and all that
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. When I was a teenager. And yeah, I started skipping school. I started hanging out with people who were like thieves and not saying anything about if I participated or not, but we'll leave that up for whatever your imagination. But I don't know. I fell out. I ran away from home and I started kind of bouncing around different people's houses, and then I'd get kicked out, and then
Why'd you run
my
away?
I don't know. I think I was just a teenager who wanted to rule the world in his own world. I think my mom and my stepdad, they didn't give me boundaries. Like thinking back, they just wanted to be my friend. I think my mom really wanted to make up for being gone for so long, so she didn't want to like uh, you know put up boundaries. She wanted to just be cool and like be the cool mom. And like I get it. But kids need boundaries, and I didn't really have them um, at that time when I needed them the most. So I just kind of like ran with whatever I wanted to do. I hated school. I although I think it was just like I just wanted to smoke and chill and not worry about it. So my stepdad and I think it was his idea because I mean it wouldn't surprise me. I just got the vibe. They wanted to send me to a boarding school in Montana. They were going to actually. Um, and I was like, "Oh hell no!" And I was like, I called my dad and I was like, can I come back?" I think I was 17, and they were, and him and my stepmom talked, and they were like, "You have to go back. You have to go to school," because I had dropped out of school at the time. And I was like, "All right, so I'll do that." So I moved back when I was 17, and I all the friends that I had before, like, because I lived in Chicago till I was 12 and or 13. I don't remember exactly. I think I was just turning 13. And I had a bunch of my friends. So I was like, "Oh, what's up, guys?" And it turns out they kind of fell into the same kind of lifestyle that I was in. So I didn't really escape anything. I kind of was like felt really comfortable with the friends that I had because they were smoking and drinking and partying, whatever. So I fell into that real quick. And one of them, I actually didn't really know this guy very well, but there was actually a heroin problem in my in the area that I was going to high school at in Chicago. I had never even seen heroin. I never know anything about it, but all of my friends knew this person, and I guess that they I think they sold bud, but they never went past that, right? And one person in my high school actually overdosed on heroin, and this was like 3 months after I got back. So I didn't really know the guy, and when the school was working with the authorities to try to find out like what happened, where did he get it, for some reason, because I was like the new face and I was in that crowd, they assumed that it was me. And now they claim that they just happened to find my phone and like when they opened it to like see whose it was, they discovered. So back in the day before smartphones, you'd have to enter in each person's thing and like you'd have contacts. And instead
Mm.
of like hitting down to get to like the friend I wanted to call, I just would put like a dollar sign and it would be at the very top of my contacts list. So like all my best friends were in the contact list at the very top because I would just put a little dollar sign. And they assumed that I was a drug dealer, that I was selling heroin to everyone, and they kicked me out of school. And like I have never seen heroin. I was never a drug dealer. Never. It was not never my thing. And so I was just kind of like, what okay, what the fuck, And my dad was pissed, and I just I don't really exactly remember what happened between when I got kicked out and when I ran away from home. Well, I didn't run away. I just said I was leaving, and I just lived at I just kind of like left home, and that's kind of when I joined this gang in Chicago, and it wasn't like you
So
know
you're back in Chicago at this point because you moved back to your
Yeah,
dad with Philly.
when my parents no, my dad's in Chicago. So when
I'm
my
sorry.
parents in Chicago or in Philadelphia wanted to send me to that boarding school, I moved back. I was like, "No, no, no," and then I moved back. And
Right,
that's when
right.
this whole shit happened in the new
Got
high
it.
school that I was going to in Chicago. So I was living on couches and in garages of friends that kind of set up like spots in their garages to hang out and like smoke pot and chill. I wasn't going to school. I was just kind of like,
Well, so
I don't know.
I mean, at this point, you are a dropout who's been labeled a drug dealer, and
Yeah.
not
Well,
like
I
little
dropped
drugs.
out, but then I chose to go back to school, and then
Right.
they kicked me out this time.
Okay.
So I wasn't a dropout anymore.
Okay. So you've been a dropout and a kicked out and
Yeah. Yeah.
and a drug dealer, right? At
I
this
was
point.
never a drug
Well,
dealer.
yeah,
They
right,
thought I was.
right.
They
No, I'm just
said that I was, and that's their reasoning for kicking me out of school,
right,
which is bullshit.
right. But I'm just telling you, like, what the perception of you at this point. So
Yeah.
a This is, I mean, it's like stack up the red flags, right? So you got a dropout, kick out, drug dealer, runaway, who's kind of floating around, and at this point now you're about to enter a gang.
Yeah.
Is this all accurate at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there are
Pretty
parents.
accurate.
There are parents who are like, yeah, sure, he can shack up with us. This dropout,
Well,
kick out, run away.
they were parents of the other people that were in the like other members, you know. So like they were cool with it, or the parents they didn't give a shit. I don't think,
So
or they
hold
didn't
on.
know. Some of them
Okay.
didn't know. I think some of them didn't care.
But did you not fight this ruling by whatever the school that, like, like you clearly said, no, I don't even know what you're talking about, and they just, kicked you out anyways? Or
Yeah, you know, I think it was just like an excuse, like it's like an excuse for me to be like, well, fuck it, whatever. Fuck
were you a
this
good
school.
student? Like, were you good at school, or did you not care?
When I cared, I was a good student. But when I didn't care, you know, like I would get in fights with my math teacher because I was actually really good at math. I enjoyed math. And I would like I hated the way that they told you how to do it because like I would see a problem and I would figure it out in my own way and get to the right answer quicker than like how other people were like, you got to do this and then you put this here and then do that little thing. And I was like, I always hated that. And I was like, oh, it's so much easier if you just do this. And my math teacher would get mad at me. And then other time, like I was like, would fight with my math teacher, like, but it works. Like, why would I do that if it's quicker to do this? And then like a different math teacher was like trying to explain how to do a math problem, and the class was like wasn't getting it. So then I started walking around like, here, let me show you how to do this. So, you know, this is how I do it. And my math teacher got so mad. Different math teacher. I don't know what it is about math teachers. They didn't like me, but
Well, math
anyway.
is there's a certain way to do it. There's a certain way not to do it, and
I
that's,
guess so.
like,
I don't like doing things the way other people do it. I do my own thing.
we're learning very quickly. We're learning. So you have, okay, so you're bouncing around at this point. It was interesting. I kind of want to back up real quick. You mentioned how
By all means.
you lived with your mom,
Yeah.
and it almost sounds like she was, she's making up for lost time. She's almost kind of competing with your dad in that, it's like, well, I'm going to be I'm going to be your friend. And there's lack of structure there. You then go back to your dad. Was there any sort of structure regained when you came back to Chicago with your dad and your stepmom? Or
No,
was
it got worse. No, me and my stepmom actually, not that we fought, but like I would get in trouble for talking back when I was a kid. And then like I would get in trouble for this. And then I came back and like my brothers were older. I'm 10 years older than my older younger brother, right? So they're 10 years and then like I think 12 years younger than me. So when I was 17, they were 7 and 5, I think, right? So getting to that age of like when I would be getting in trouble for doing the shit that they're doing. And I remember like calling them out. Like I'm the older brother. I'm very much like a father. I have a very strong father figure in me where I'll call out bullshit behavior in a child. I don't care if the child's mine or not. I'll be like, I'll call them out, but I don't like ridicule them like they're a child. I call them out like I would you or someone else, like a peer. And I started doing that to my brothers because I wasn't around them for that, I don't know, 5-year period. So they didn't really know me, but then they kind of did. They kind of remembered me. But my stepmom started getting mad at me for like calling them out for shit that she would get mad at me for when I was a kid. And it was like, it pissed me off so much. And there's countless examples of that. But that was part of the reason why I also kind of left that situation. Cause I don't know. That's annoying to me. Just be treated differently when I took it personal. Like I wasn't considered her son, but they were. But as I get older, it's like the first child when someone has versus the fourth child. They're way stricter with the first child, because they just like parenting and
Right.
life. And so I don't know. I don't hold anything against any of my parents. because I absolutely love who I've become in life. I'm very much comfortable being me. So
Have you patched up any relationships you've had with your parents?
yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. I have a great relationship with everybody now, except my stepdad. Um, he's no longer in the picture. So, and I'm happy about that. But anyway,
So
at
you're in
this,
Chicago. Yeah, at this point you're in Chicago.
yeah,
You've been kicked out of school. You've been labeled a drug dealer, even though
yeah.
you're not. Right? You've been labeled a drug dealer, and now you are entering gangs. Like, what does that look like? What is a gang? Are we talking about like bang bang
Yeah.
gang or drug gangs, loot,
Well,
riot, steal gang? What are we
I
talking about?
wasn't. I was just like in the crew, right? There was guys that were selling. There was guys that were like, I would just like they were moving product state across state lines. Like there was like an operation that I wasn't a part of, but I was like in the crew. Um, and
So you're
this
like
is when
you're a low level
I
goomba.
guess like I don't know. I just kind of was like friends with them all, and like they trusted me, so I saw it all. Like they you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Um but it was like they were doing some stuff and I was like, "Oh shit." And then that's when I got shot. I almost died in when we were in like some projects and we were barbecuing, like me and the crew. And actually there's certain gangs like wear their hat cocked in a certain way, right? And if you wear it like they do, they get really pissed off. And these three like Hispanic guys came up to us and to one of my guys, and they were like, "Yo, change your hat." And my guy's like, "Fuck you." Like, "No." And they're like, "You better change your hat right now." And he's like, "You better get the fuck out of here." And they were like, "Okay, okay." And then they backed up. As soon as they kind of like it was kind of like getting dark. It was like dusk. And as soon as they kind of like got into like a far area, we saw them, all three of them, pull guns and just start shooting at us. And we all freaking just spread out, like running and shit. And I remember running to this dumpster to like jump behind it. And I'm like running to the dumpster. I'm hearing these bullets firing, and I don't hear anything but the bullets firing, and I'm freaking out because I'm about to die, you know. And I'm like, I swear I heard the bullet go past my head. Like I heard a freaking I don't even know how to make the sound, but I was looking at the dumpster and I saw a bullet hole appear, and I'm like, holy fuck. And I like dove behind the dumpster, and then we all freaking like got together in the apartment that of the guy who lived in that area, and like we ended up playing spades all night and just laughing about it because like no one actually got shot. So it was like, oh well, that was crazy. All right, let's play some spades. We played a lot of spades.
So okay, well, okay. There's so much here, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
you're in the hood as a
Yeah.
part of this gang. What is the gang called? Can you talk about that, or are you gonna get somebody off by
Nah.
talking about it? You can't
Nah.
talk about it. Okay.
Uh,
So, but you're like this good-looking white guy, right? And when you think of
I
the
guess.
hood and you think of like these gangs, usually you think of like, Vatos or whatever, right? Or dudes, and you don't generally think like good-looking white guy model, right? And I know you're not a model at this point. So like, how
No.
did that all happen? Right? I don't know. Just
Well,
kind of
this is
walk
the
me through.
second time I almost died, by the way.
Okay.
This is the second time. So I feel like I missed a pretty important part. When I first moved to Philadelphia when I was 13 to live with my mom,
Mhm.
I had a crazy bone infection in my right hip, and I was bedridden for like 6 months. It was crazy. And when I was in the hospital trying to figure out what it was, the hospital fucked up the morphine drip, and I OD'd on morphine, and I stopped breathing. My heart stopped. So like I straight up died from morphine, and my mom actually like shook me awake. She saved my life when I was 12. And I remember waking up with like my mom and then going to sleep and then waking up and there's just doctors around the bed, like 15 doctors, and then going to sleep. And then waking up like the hallway whipping past me. And then I went back to sleep, and then I woke up and I was in a freaking ambulance. I was ODing so hard in the hospital that they had to bring me to a different hospital to treat the OD because they
Jeez.
didn't have like I don't remember the type of what is there's some drug that you give to people who are ODing, and they didn't have enough, or they didn't have it on hand or something. So it's crazy, man.
Hmm.
Yeah. So all right.
So
So moving forward to the second time I almost died.
right. So
All
you
right.
get bullets are literally whizzing by your head, and at this
That was
point,
kind of a wake up call, right?
right,
That was a
right.
wake up call. So I stopped attending events, hanging.
Like
I
AA
I didn't.
meetings.
Yeah, well, I stopped like I don't know. I kind of like took a step away from hanging out, and it was this thing called Frontier Days in Chicago, or in the suburbs of Chicago. And it's basically like the summertime Ferris wheel, not the circus, but the town fair or whatever. It's called Frontier Days. And I think I don't remember if I was 18. I think I was 18 at this point, and I was at Frontier Days, and I met this girl, my first girlfriend. All right. Or she would become my first girlfriend. And I remember she knew a buddy of mine, and I saw her, and I saw her talking to my buddy, and then my buddy was like, "Hey, she thinks you're cute. Like, you want to go talk to her?" And I was like, "All right." And we started talking, and she found out that I didn't live at home and I hadn't finished high school, and she was like, "Oh, hell no. Like, if you want to, like, if we're gonna, do anything, like even talk, you got to finish high school and like not be homeless." And I was like, "All right." So I went to night school. I didn't have that much high school left. I had like 2 classes. Like, it took me a half, like a summer to finish high school. I just graduated at night school in the summertime, which it was a summer, so it was like perfect. I just like finished high school really quick and like moved back with my dad. Um, but her mom, my first girlfriend's mother, ran a model search company. And they were like, "Oh, you gotta do it. Like, you gotta do this model search company." And I'm like, "Fuck no. Like, are you fucking hell no." I'm like, I smoked Newports. I was bad. I was smoking like two packs of Newports a day. I was heavy Newport smoker, which I can't, thinking back, I'm like, I can't believe I smoked so many Newports in my life. But eventually I fell in love with her, and I agreed to do it. I was like, "All right, whatever, fine." I didn't know what I was wanting to do. I just was kind of like, that's when I worked at Blockbuster. I worked at these random jobs. My first job ever was at Blockbuster, and then I worked at a salad joint. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing, right? And I was just like, "Yeah, fuck it. Let me do this modeling shit. Maybe I'll make some money." And I got like, there was like 85 different agencies that would come in and like say, "Oh, we'd want to meet this person." And like anyone can go, and you kind of just like go up on stage, and they're like, "This is this person, he's from here." And like all the agencies are like, "Oh, okay, well, like, we'll meet with you." And I guess I like broke a record. Like, the most agencies ever, like 81 out of the 85 wanted to talk to me. And then I signed. What?
So it sounds like a cattle call where they put you up on
Kinda.
stage and they say like,
Yeah.
"Here's Adam
That's
Crigler. He's a
that's
good
exactly.
heifer."
Yep, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, yeah.
Did
And
you
like
go up?
all sorts of different people were there.
So did you go up with your shirt off, your shirt on, and all
No,
that?
no,
No.
just walked up. I don't know what I was wearing. Probably like some baggy ass pants.
Okay, hold on. I'm really interested in the modeling thing, but
Well, we just got there.
I know. But there's something I need to hit on before we get.
Okay.
So let's go back about 5 minutes, okay?
Uh-huh.
I don't feel like I got a good enough question. How did you get involved with the gangs? Like, were you recruited?
No, it was my friend that I had known as a kid, and then when I came back from Philadelphia to
Got it.
Chicago,
Okay.
they were that was like their crew,
Got it. Okay,
right?
that makes more sense now. Okay, I
So
understand.
it was natural that I just kind of was like, they were like, oh shit, like Crigler's back. All right, word,
Okay, cool.
no
Got it.
doubt,
Got it.
boom.
So that's how
He's
like
trustworthy.
right. That's how like you know white suburban looking kid gets hooked up with gangland violence in Chicago.
I guess. I mean, they were well, not all of them are white suburban. Some like some Hispanics, some black guys. I don't know. It was just
Very
like
very diverse.
like it didn't matter. Like fucking race. Like who gives a shit? Like
Right, 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 right.
that's the energy. Like the high school that I went to in Philadelphia, it was like, man, like no one gave a shit about race because like there was all sorts of different colors in this high school. It was like it was dope. And then same thing with this crew. It was like it didn't matter. Like if you were cool and were you trustworthy, right? I mean, like, and you like respected the other people, and like that's what matters, I think. So
Cool. Love it.
yeah,
Okay, so let's continue with modeling. But before we do, I want to
sure.
read off that's we have our goal of we're trying to get 20 new memberships every single stream of side scrollers every day. And Stardust
Cool.
Viking came in with 10 gifted memberships to the channel. Stardust Viking, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate that, my man. If you guys got gifted a membership, make sure you say thank you, Stardust. Really appreciate that. Evan came in with the membership. Says my little nephew is a math genius, and the same thing happened to him. But in his case, the teacher understood, but told him not to tell others.
Nice.
You see that all the time with like gifted kids who they see things in different ways, and maybe you were just a really like I think do you think that you were really smart, and maybe that's why you struggle with school? Because sometimes really smart kids just think school is really boring.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the American education system, I think is a tragedy. It's designed to beat down imagination and conform. It makes them conform into like this prison like lifestyle, and it's terrible. It's horrible for humanity, I think. And it's based off of like some USSR turning people into sheep method. I don't remember exactly. Something I researched like a year ago, but it's
Right.
pretty bad. Like the American education system sucks, and it's another reason why I'm here, because like the education system here is awesome. Like there's full on high schools that are just music. Like if you want to be a music, my wife went to a musical high school. Like her high school was all about music. That's what she learned in high school. Like what? All right, not like this is the history that we're going to teach you. All right.
Right. Or like,
And
they
or
like
there's 1,000 genders. Which one are you?
or how to balance your finances, or how to
Pay what
get a home.
taxes are for.
Right, right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they don't teach you that
No, they
because
don't.
it would probably piss people off.
Steel Leg of History came in with the 4.99. Says can't stay long. Just had my physical therapy. Adam is one of the kindest people I know. Always there when you need him to talk to somebody. Be blessed, Adam. That's very nice.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Good luck with your I'm glad you had your PT. I'm glad hopefully you worked hard. And our boy No Green Rock, Superman, if he wasn't scared of green rocks, came in, says with the $50 super chat. Thank you so much. Says I started watching Adam during COVID and followed him since. When my dogs passed, he gave her a shout out. I'll never forget it. Thank you for the shout out yesterday. / all your advice / support these past few years. I'm lucky to have you as a friend.
Hell yeah, Doc.
No Green Rocks.
Yeah,
Legit.
I forgot I even mentioned you yesterday. But right, that was part of that. Well, I was bitching about shit, so I was like focused on something else. But of course, you're a G, so
No Green Rocks is legit for sure.
Everyone
go
legit.
Go subscribe to Legion of Memers over on YouTube. They're great stuff. Okay, so let's continue.
Sure.
So you're on stage. It's the cattle call. You have 84 groups of people or different agencies that are there, and they're salivating over young Adam Crigler on stage in his Jinko jeans or whatever.
No, I never wore those. I never wore Jankos. No. I never liked those. I always thought those are stupid.
So
but
Well, in the world of like, there's major agencies in the world of talent and in the world of modeling and acting and all that stuff. There's
Yeah.
William Morris, right? Endeavor, I think they merged or something. There's Kim Dawson, right? Are you familiar with Kim Dawson?
No idea who you're
Okay,
talking about.
okay,
right now.
okay.
As a person?
No, it's an agency down here that I always heard down here in Dallas, right? There's
Oh
a
yeah,
Kim Dawson.
Dallas. I don't
Yeah.
know the Dallas market.
So
I
okay,
was
so
I was an actual professional.
right.
Um,
Well, that's what I'm really excited to talk to you about.
no,
So
I'm just kidding.
no, it's great. So you go in, you got these people salivating over you. What does that look like? They're like, we want to sign you, and you have the majority of these people coming after you. Is there like a sign-on bonus? How did you decide who you wanted to work with at this point?
Well, there's okay. So
an
I'll
adult?
explain.
Can you make your own decisions? Yeah, please.
Yeah, no, I was an adult, but I also knew the person who ran the event. So she kind of was like, these like 5 are interested in you, and they're like the big agencies. So Major Models in New York is who I went with, Major, and they were really good. What was my? You know what? I have my book.
You have your entire catalog of stuff. Well, it's funny because I have some pictures pulled up, which
Elite. Yeah, so I went with Elite in Chicago. So I went with Elite Model Management. This was the book that I used. This is so every model would have like a book. When you go to a casting, you'd bring your book and you'd show them, and you open it, and there's like images of you and stuff.
Whoa, stop. What is that? Are you wearing some sort of fedora or something? What are you wearing?
Yeah, this is actually Abercrombie and Fitch.
Okay.
And it was basically like a costume party. So everyone in the section of the book that I was in was wearing like a cool animal version of something, and I was a bird of some sort. I don't know.
Okay.
Good photo though. But anyway, Elite. I signed with Elite New York or Elite Chicago, and that started. They were a good company that was known for bringing people to New York and like springboarding them into like a proper company, and it's also they're really good for like, oh man, how do I even? There's so much to actually explain when it comes to modeling. So like, there's different types of jobs, right? When it comes to modeling, there's like campaigns, there's runway, there's like Sears and Target, like that kind of stuff. That actually pays really, really well. Like you almost want like a job working at Target. Like, you walk into Target, you see like the models that are like wearing clothes, and it's like those models get paid really well because they get paid over and over and over again for stupid little like, oh, come in for 45 minutes and take put this outfit on, and we'll take some pictures, and they get like $3,000 for that for like 45 minutes. It's like, what the fuck? It's stupid money.
So it's like a one time you walk in, you're going to make this money for taking some pictures that are going to appear like when you walk into Target, you see the girl in the bra, right, or whatever.
Right.
So that's
well, it'll be like the spring, because there's 4 seasons, right, when it comes to clothing lines. So like if right now it's summer, so they'll be shooting for spring maybe right now, like getting the next, always to be ready for the next season to like show what it is. So they would hire you, or like they would hire me. All right, well, we need a guy that looks like Adam. All right, so we'll hire him for this shoot, and I get paid X amount for those pictures that they use during this time. And then after that, if they want to keep using it, they can pay again. But usually they don't, because it's the clothes that they're trying to sell. So they keep moving forward. So yeah.
So you're booked. I'm looking at a Wikipedia article about you. And
yeah, okay.
I don't know. It's like a Wikipedia about people, I guess. And I'm going to read this off, and you tell me how accurate this is. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and because I always think these are fun.
What is this?
I don't know. It's an article about you. It says,
Okay.
Crigler began his modeling career at the age of 18 after booking an Abercrombie and Fitch campaign.
That's true.
Okay. The campaign.
Actually, that campaign. So when I did that model search, a week later, I booked that job.
I mean, that's
so it
huge.
took-
That's a pretty
I
quick
went-
turnaround.
Yeah, and like the people that I shot with, like Malin Ackerman and Jamie Dornan, they're like famous now. You know, Malin, I don't know if she was doing movies as much, but she was in Heartbreak Kid, The Watchmen. She's been in a bunch of movies. And then Jamie Dornan, he was in 50 Shades of Grey, and now I'm seeing him more and more nowadays. So it's kind of cool that like it took me 1 week and then I was shooting with these. I mean, they're now famous. It's pretty cool.
Are these? Well, let me go to continue this because I looked up Malin Ackerman and I didn't know who she was just based off her name. But for those who are curious, you'll recognize her when you see her. So this is Malin Ackerman here, and you know she has that. I don't know. I feel like I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. I didn't know she started as a model. And then here's the other guy that you.
By the way, Malin and Jamie, both fucking rad people, like very, very cool. Like I spent 9 days just with them because like we were always together getting our shots and like changing while other people were doing their stuff. We had some free time, so we were chilling. So I hung out with them for basically 9 days straight, and they were both fucking rad, really cool people.
So
just
it
in
says
case you were wondering, Malin Ackerman's rad.
I was
Jamie's rad.
That was high on the question list today. So it says the campaign includes the model turned actors Malin Ackerman and Jamie Dornan, and continues to receive attention decades later. In 2003, Crigler moved to New York City to further his career. Accurate?
Yep.
Okay.
That is true. Yep.
He spent the next 3 years splitting time between New York, Milan, Italy, and Paris, France, working numerous campaigns for Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, American Eagle, Converse, and others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
That's all true.
Let's work on this timeline here because you went from
getting shot at.
Right. So what was the timeline between, you know, nearly having a cat bust on your ass to being a major model? 6 months?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. No, like it was more like 9 months.
Okay.
Because shit, maybe it was 6 months.
Gosh. Like what a turnaround, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
It is.
Well, it was the summer when I met her, and then it was like right before my birthday because I did the Abercrombie job and I bought myself a car. For my first car, I bought a car from the money from Abercrombie.
Whoa. Okay, then look, I hate asking people about money, but like,
what
if you can buy a car off of one job from Abercrombie, what is a job like a major? Like these are major campaigns. Abercrombie is a major brand, at least it certainly was in the early 2000s. I guess it is now. I don't know. Like, what does an average shoot pay? If you're there for 9 days, they're clearly compensating for your time. You could buy a car now. Like,
yeah, I mean, I didn't buy a new car; it was a used car. But I mean, it's different because when you first get there, there's like 45 models. And then day 2, they cut down. They're like, all right, we're gonna like get rid of, and they do all the like group mad, a bunch of people in one shot, but then they get rid of like half of them, and they're like, all right, we're gonna like focus in on this team, and then by the like 6th or 7th day, there's only like 10 of us left, and then by the 9th day, it's like really they're just like fine tuning, and it's like if you look through the Abercrombie book that I was in, like. Me and Malin and Jamie are like pretty much the primary models that were used mostly. So we were paid for the full 9 days, where it was a daily thing. So I don't remember what it was. I think it was like $2,500 a day, something, which is crazy to think about because like they flew me out to Santa Barbara, California, which is freaking beautiful. I'd never been there before. And I spent 9 days in a freaking beautiful hotel on the water, hanging out with like beautiful people. And yeah, it was it was dope. I
Yeah.
got paid.
Right. And so you went from working at, you said you were
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster to making probably
I was.
$2,500 every 2 months to
Yeah,
$2,500
not
a
even
day.
probably.
Right.
Shit, man.
So you're like, holy shit, this is the best. All I got to do is take my shirt off and look at the camera, and I'm doing fucking all right, right?
Basically, yeah.
So, and this is just my morbid curiosity. Like, you have an agent. Like, what's the agency cut of that money? Is it 20%, 30%, 10%?
No, like 15.
Okay.
About that. I mean, it depends. There's some skeezy ass freaking agencies out there that'll, oh, you got to pay this much for headshots or whatever, and it's
Right.
like, honestly, most agencies out there are fucking scams, dude. It's like, it's bad, and that's why, like, I'm glad I knew somebody who was running it, because they were like, you should go with Elite, go with Elite, because they're actually real, and like they work with real models. Like Channing Tatum was in my agency, and Channing Tatum's like he's in movies now. So they just, I think I chose wisely. I went with a really good agency, and then I ended up going with Major Models, which is a huge agency in New York, and they've been around for a long time.
So
and they did great for me. I really appreciate them.
okay, so you were introduced to modeling though through this girlfriend that you fell in love with. How long into your modeling relationship or your modeling career did that relationship end? Because I would imagine you're around all these attractive people. There's all sorts of temptation.
Yeah. No, she fucked it up, actually. She cheated on me, but it was before, like, she claims it was before she fell in love with me. Like, she went on some some cruise, and like I guess she was like making out with some dude down there while we were together. And this was like right before I did this model search thing. And then like right after, she was getting all insecure. And when you're the one who cheats, you're the one who's like the most insecure about things. Like I wasn't gonna cheat on her. Like I'm not a cheater, So
Mhm.
um and she like told me, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, well, fuck you. Like I can't trust you anymore. And it was like, so she kind of fucked that up. Like I was like, well, whatever. Like I'm loyal. So uh and you're not. So I'm not gonna waste my time with this. Uh Peace. Right. And this was before I actually moved to New York that all went down.
So okay, so you're at this point you're having tremendous, like not success. You're having tremendous success as a model, right? This is something that
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
we're talking like this is Zoolander style top model type shit right here, right? Where you're doing the stereotypical, like he lives in he's going to Milan and New York and all these like hot spots for modeling that you hear about, right?
Yeah.
So you obviously got to keep your body in shape. The thing that I'm really intrigued about in the modeling space is what's the real modeling world look like, right? Because there's obviously got to be a pressure to keep your body in shape to make sure you still have nice abs, right? But
Oh, I was terrible at that. I never was a body model.
no, so
Ever.
it was all about up here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. My agency would ask me like, "Can you do some push-ups, please?" Like, come on, go work out. I was like the worst. If I actually worked out and like really got freaking shredded, I probably would have done even more. I probably would have, uh, I don't even know where I would have gone, but like I just wasn't interested in doing that. I don't really have ambition when it comes to furthering myself, and I see that. But when your question though, like what does real modeling look like? Honestly, most of the models that I know are smart as shit. They're very knowledgeable about nutrients, working out, their bodies, finances. Like it was very rare to stumble upon like a dumb model. Like that stereotype of like stupid models is so far from the truth. from like modeling. Now, don't get me wrong, like I've met some stupid models before, but like I don't know, like I feel like the average model that I worked with, and like I was, I was in the top circles of models, right? I was seeing them all in castings where we'd go to like meet uh like the Calvin Klein people or the Ralph Lauren people. We'd be sitting there in a room and I'd see all like the top models that I was competing with because we all would go to the casting that was set for a certain time and you'd go and meet them and they'd show them. That's when you hand them your book and they'd look through it and whatever. So, uh, yeah, they were very smart and they worked hard for their shit. And I should have worked harder, to be honest. Like I look back, if I worked harder, I probably would have been more successful. Um, but you know,
Well, what?
I like where I'm at. So
Good, good. So I have some pictures from your modeling career that I pulled
okay,
up off the internet, and I want to get
all
to
right,
those in just a second.
sure,
I want to ask, like, you know, what was happening here? Where were you in this point of your life? What was this campaign
sure,
for,
yeah,
right?
yeah, okay,
Um, but so when I speak of like, there's this pressure in the modeling space. I would imagine to, once again, it's a vanity driven industry, right?
yeah,
You gotta
of
look
course,
great, but there's this perception from the outside that there's lots of drugs, alcohol, pills, things like that. Is that true? Is that something that you saw on a day-to-day basis? In the
no,
no?
no. I mean, I saw like I hung out with some model chicks, right? I mean, but for the most part, I was when I lived in New York, when I first moved to New York, my agency had like a modeling house, but it was for guys. Like all the guy models that were coming in, pardon me, through town would stay there and like I think I had like 12 roommates at one point. But it was like there was beds, it was like a bunkhouse, right? Everyone could just stay there. So I got to like live with like a bunch of them and see how they lived. I didn't really see like the girls side of it, like I don't know if they had issues with drugs, but whenever I would come in, hang out in the house, they would be cooking chicken, working out, and like eating right and going to the gym and like staying healthy. Like that's like drinking and doing drugs doesn't work if you're trying to look healthy and be fit, right? So I never saw that. Like that wasn't a normal thing. But when you go out to like the clubs with the promoters and stuff, you know who would be doing that stuff? The people that weren't at the main um agencies, right? The models that were like wannabe models that weren't actual models that I don't know, they never got the jobs, but like maybe they would get a runway job or maybe they would get something and they'd be like, I'm a real model now, but it was like the modeling industry is filled with those types of models that are like just not like the top caliber, the ones that are working for Calvin Klein, the ones that are being picked for the well, and now it's actors that are pretty much being used for a lot of this stuff, but like the Giselle Bunchins or something, who I also worked at. She's very nice. She was very nice to me anyway.
Talking about
Um,
Tom Brady's former wife.
yeah, yeah. We did a Vogue campaign together.
So do you have these people's like phone numbers in your phone? Can you give them a ring and be like, "What's up? It's Adam Crigler."
No, no,
Okay.
no. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, I don't know. It's that world, like the drug side of modeling was never the people who were successful. It was always the wannabe models and the promoters that used to be models. Like, never the ones who were actually successful and working were the ones that were doing the drugs.
Right. Right.
So, at least that's what I saw.
All right. So I have pictures that I think most of these are of you. They look like you, but there's a couple of them not quite sure if they are you. Right. But
Well, I can confirm or
all right.
deny.
Well, let's take a look at a few of these, and you tell me what was happening, what this was for,
Mhm.
and where you were at in this life. So here you are. You got your long hair. You're looking back. You got your tattoos showing. You got your no. What is this? Is this part of your book? What's going on here?
This was the first thing, no, when did I get this? This was I think I was in my mid-20s at this point. I see my my bird tattoo on my shoulder, and I am. So like I had to have been like 25, 24 maybe, I think. And that ring, so I'm still wearing that ring. I've been wearing that ring for easily over a decade.
Well, what are you modeling here? Because I don't see anything on you.
This is not a modeling image. This is
Okay.
actually someone asked for like an image of like what I looked like at the time. So I had a photographer just take this photo so I can send it in and have I think I booked a job from this. I don't remember what it was, but
Okay.
it was basically like, "Hey, this company wants to hire you, right? What do you look like right now? Send me like a couple images." And I just did that.
Okay. So this one you actually have clothes on. This is the one that when you search Adam Crigler, a lot of this shows up. You have an emote of this face. You got the high
Yeah.
cheekbones and everything. You are modeling what at this
This
point?
this is Ralph Lauren right
Okay.
here in New York.
In New York. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is probably 2009, maybe. Yeah, Ralph Lauren. My hair was very long at that point.
Mhm. Did you ever get instruction on, you should really cut your hair for this shoot or,
Nah,
or no?
no. Vogue. Funny enough, that job with Giselle, Vogue, they wanted to shave the side of my head so they could like have the sunglasses and like have this like crazy shaved thing. But my agency was like, "All right, 10 times the amount of money then, because if you're gonna shave his head, we're gonna have to like redo everything." And they were like, "Nah, all right, we won't do it then."
Nice. The old 10X.
Yeah,
All right, let's go to this next one here. This looks like some sort of print ad for something. You're walking down, you got your jeans on, you got your looking
yeah.
all hip and fly. What's going on here?
This was a Japanese magazine that came to New York and was doing an editorial. And I actually think I'm wearing Calvin Klein maybe in this image. I don't remember exactly what it was, but this was for a Japanese magazine. It's just an editorial.
Oh, there's the Japanese down there. Yeah, absolutely. I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is you, but I don't think you have this tattoo or these abs. But I don't know. This kind of looks like you. Is this you?
That is not me, no.
Okay. I don't think you have. I don't think you have that on your. Okay, because this guy is like ripped as shit. God. Okay, so that's not you. Is
Yeah,
this you?
that is not me.
Okay. Is this you?
No, but this guy, I met him because he and I were in the same campaign for Chanel. So
Okay.
I don't know why that would put the reason why you might have searched my name and that came up is because I did a Chanel campaign and it was the same campaign that he did. He's a professional swimmer. They had a professional horse rider and then a professional skateboarder. That was me. And then one more, and I don't remember the fourth profession, but they were purposefully trying to pick people who weren't models that could be models, but then had something other than modeling, and that's what they went for.
Oh, here you go.
So
You got. I think this is what you did right here. This is your swimmer.
yeah, there's swimmer, the horse rider, and then me on the right. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Got it. I'm a quick Googler. All right.
There you go.
Cool. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, so what does a day look like for a model? You show up, and they got all the lights set up. They got your camera guy here, and like from beginning to end, just walk me through what an average day of modeling looks like. You got your call time.
Well, that depends on if you're working or not. If you have a job and you have a call time, you show up, you get there. Usually they're setting up the shot while you're getting the clothes and the makeup and the hair done, and then you go in and get your shot done. And if there's multiple models, you'll kind of like all kind of take turns going into different shots, whatever, setting the light, using the light when you have it. But if you don't have a job that day, you're probably going to castings, which means you're just running around the city. So like when I was in Milan or when I was in Paris or New York, I would be running around town with my book where I would be going to like 5 or 6 different castings, and then you would have like, do I have any cards? So this was this funny enough is that image you just shared. So this is I would leave this with them, right? So this is my LA when I was in LA. I would hand them this, and then it's like my information with like a couple shots of me, and so you would leave something for them to look at, so they could pin on the wall and be like, like I think these two together, and then whatever would look good with the clothing, and that's how they would pick who would do the job, right? But that's the casting side of it, not the modeling side of it. And yeah. So you're either running around trying to get the jobs or you're doing the jobs.
Right. Okay, so you, I'm going to go back to your Wikipedia article about you, and we're going to continue to see if this is accurate or not. So,
sure.
By 2005, Crigler's interest in modeling began to wane as he turned his focus towards family and his growing passion for music.
Kind of I wouldn't say I ever had a passion for modeling. Ever.
It was more just like a means to an end.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a passion for it, I would work out and like get swole like that dude, and like probably be significantly more successful in the modeling world. But I didn't really, I never treated it like something I was passionate about. But I always did music. Before I even moved to New York, I was a singer in a band. Not necessarily a band, like it was my best friend's outside of the gang. So I had like two different bubbles of friends, one is who I kind of told you about already, and the other, they were just like your average, suburban group of friends, and they were funny and cool. Sure smoked a little bud, but like we're musicians and hippie-ish kind of vibe. And they had a band, and they won Battle of the Bands in high school, and their singer was like, "Oh, I don't need you guys. You need me a lot more than I need you." And then he quit. I don't think he ever sang again, actually. But my friends were like, "Well, fuck it, whatever. We're still gonna play music." And I knew their songs, and they started playing like some stuff in a park, and I started singing. And they were like, "Oh shit, you could sing." And I was like, "Oh shit, I can sing." And then I kind of realized I really enjoyed music. I really enjoyed being on stage and having an audience and singing to them. And when I moved to New York, when did I first play music? It was like I was 20 years old, and I was in Milan, Italy. And my roommate at the time was from South Africa. His name was Andre. And I don't know if Andre's ever watched a show, but shout out to you, buddy. He was awesome. And he the first day he got here to Milan, he was like, "Man, I was thinking about bringing my guitar and I didn't, and I'm so like mad I didn't bring it. That's it. I'm gonna go find a guitar. I'm gonna go find a guitar." And I'm not joking. 20 minutes later, he walks in and he's like, "I just got this for freaking 20 euro. Like, from where?" He's like, "I just met this guy and like he had a guitar to sell me." And I'm like, "What the like?" He just like manifested it, right? And I was like, "That's some pretty cool energy, right?" And then he was playing some music, and I was like, "I'll play this song," and I would sing. And we had like the apartment where everyone wanted to hang out at. So we had like a few. It wasn't like we were partying, but we had like the chill spot. Like we were hanging out, and like we had like the model chicks would come over, and like he would play and I'd sing, and we'd have this contest who could buy the cheapest best wine, because the wine in Italy is delicious and also insanely cheap. It was like 50 cents for this massive I won, by the way. I bought this like 50-cent bottle, or 50-cent euro, like half a euro for this massive thing of wine. Anyway, he taught me how to play a few songs on the guitar. And when I got back to New York for my 21st birthday, I bought myself my first guitar. And that was, that's how that started.
I mean, you're still a kid at this point, though. I mean, you like
definitely
at 21. I mean, you're still like, you're an adult, but a young adult, and you're still figuring things out. You've lived a very, black and white life at this point. You have been shot at, and you've also done the, been the epitome of success in a very hard space to get into. it's been a yin or a yang, man. It's for you at this point,
True.
it seems like, right?
Yeah.
Both sides of it. So you kind of take a step back from modeling, and now you're like, well, I want to focus on music and
Well, that was all at the same time. I don't think it's not exactly like I stepped back from modeling and started doing music. I always did music while I was modeling. So I was playing CBGBs. Like I played CBGBs a bunch of times.
but
Joe's Pub.
was there a conscious effort to step back from modeling?
I just left New York when I was 24. I gave up on New York. I wasn't happy. My I it was this I wasn't getting as much jobs. I was having to I was working at a restaurant. Probably because I wasn't I wasn't working out, like I was dwindling. Like I did a lot of the jobs that would hire me for my face, but a lot of modeling, you got to have like a muscular body and like that just wasn't me. So I think I just kind of I realized like I'm not happy right now and I moved back to Chicago. And I started working for my dad, and he did heating and air conditioning, and I kind of grew up in it, so I already knew a lot of how to run ductwork and solder pipes for installing, radiators or whatever. So like it was pretty easy for me to just go jump back, and I got an apartment, and I was just kind of chilling in Chicago, working for my dad for a while, for like a year, and then I moved to live with my mom, who was living in Arizona, and I lived there for about a year. And I got a call or I got an email from the people who were putting together the Brooklyn Folk Festival in, I don't remember, 2010, 11, 12, no, 2009. I don't remember. When I was like 25, turning 26. So 12, 13 years ago, whatever. Um, 14 years ago. Shit, I'm getting old. And I was like, damn, dude, like I did the Brooklyn Folk Festival, I think when I was like 23. So they remembered me and they were like trying to book acts for the festival. I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. Like, I should go back to New York. Like, New York is where music happens, and that's where like shit happens. Not here in Tucson, Arizona. And I
Wait,
made the decision.
where did Tucson come from? I thought you went
I
back to
I
Chicago and
No, I said I lived in Chicago, working for my dad for a year,
right.
and then I went to Arizona to live with my
Okay,
mom for about a year.
sorry, missed that.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that's all right. And then I was like, you know what? This is kind of cool. I feel like it's a sign to go back to New York and um, get back into music and then I did the Brooklyn Folk Festival. I kind of moved back to New York, and it's crazy because there's something pretty big happened at that time. Like I packed all of my stuff into like my suitcases to move back, and the suitcases were gone. So I showed up to New York with a guitar and like nothing. So like I lost all my stuff. And I don't even remember what was in there, but I was devastated, right? I was really like I had nothing. Like I had none of my stuff with me, like my core things, clothes, all this other shit. And it kind of I don't know if you've ever lost like it's not like I was just like going on vacation to New York, right? It was like I packed this suitcase full of like my treasures or my life stuff. So it was kind of rough. Um no, my magic cards, they were stored in my dad's attic forever. Someone asked. So yeah, I don't know. I moved back and my agency was hyped. They were like, "Oh, hell yeah, like you can still model." And I'm like, "All right." So I actually went and booked up in their model apartment again. So it was really easy to get back into New York. And when I lived in New York before I left, I had two buddies of mine who had tried my longboard. So I had a longboard in New York when I was like 22. I got one from California and it broke. And that's actually one of the things that like started my downhill spiral out of New York. I didn't notice it until afterwards. Like I was skate everywhere. That's how I got around. But these two, they were twins, right? These buddies of mine that were models, Brian and Travis, and they had skated for the first time a longboard on my longboard. And when I came back, these guys had become team riders for a New York longboarding company called Bustin' Boards. And I was like, what the hell? Like, how are you guys like this pro skater guys now? And like, I want to be pro skater. And I started skating with them all the time. And I know I'm kind of doing your job for you here, but
let me continue with the Wikipedia article to see if this is accurate, because
Okay.
there's an entire skateboarding section.
Okay.
After relocating to New York City in 2009, Crigler began longboarding. He started working for Bustin' Boards.
Oh, that's not true.
Oh.
I was longboarding before that.
Okay.
I had a board and I got it probably in like 2006 or something, 2007.
Okay.
And no, I think in 2006. And a car ran over it. And then when I got back to New York, it turned into something more professional, though. So, all right, continue.
It says he started working for Bustin' Boards Company, printing small batch skateboard decks and improving his skills as a writer. Bustin' took notice of Crigler's ability and sponsored him soon after.
Okay. Pretty accurate.
In 2010, Crigler won an annual race known as the Broadway Bomb, but not without controversy. Crigler employed the act of skitching during the race and received a disqualification at the finish line, even though there were no rules in place against the act. Crigler contested the result, and while Broadway Bomb Wikipedia page acknowledges Mark Chaparro as the official winner after the introduction of the sketching rule, they also list Crigler as the 2010 men's winner.
Okay.
Sounds like a little bit of controversy here. Just follows you around.
A few things. Mark got third place. All right. The guy who got second, actually, like if I would have gotten disqualified, the guy who got second should have actually have won. But he was this old dude who like no one knew, and he was a triathlon competitor that heard about the Broadway Bomb and was like, "Oh, I could beat these kids." And it was like Mark won the year before and was best friends with the guy who put the Broadway Bomb on. So when I got disqualified, they disqualified the second place guy and gave the win to Mark, which they disqualified me for sketching. But the guy who actually then came in third place, who is a buddy of mine, admitted that he was sketching, and they were like, "Yeah, whatever." But it's okay.
Okay, so sketching is when you grab onto a car.
Yeah.
Right.
When you grab hold of a car and you freaking take off. Right.
Okay. So
hold on. Let me just say, it's a New York. It was a New York underground race from 116th and Broadway all the way down to the Bull. So it's 116 blocks. And I got there the fastest. Now they have since implemented a no sketching rule, which is stupid because it's an underground race. It's never been sanctioned by New York. The cops have tried to like net people off, but we just go around it. There was like 1,000 people that day, and it's a crazy freaking race. It's awesome. I mean, it really, most of the people just freaking bombed through New York City with like hundreds of skaters around them. Right? It's pretty awesome. But I definitely won, and I've since talked to the guy who his name's Jimmy, the guy who has been running the Broadway Bomb, and he has officially given me the win. He's like, "Yeah, I recognize that you actually win. You're the official winner of the Broadway Bomb 2010." So,
wow, good for you! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Validation. I have pictures of the Broadway Bomb, or I have video actually from the 2022, and this guy has his GoPro out and he's going hard. Like, apparently this is the guy who won first place, Daniel Lindsay. So I don't know if you're into this space, but the idea is just, it's literally a race, huh? That's it. You just get from one point of the city to the other. That's pretty fun. So, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's a video of me winning on my page. on Adam Crigler, the YouTube channel.
Okay.
This is the YouTube channel when I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, whatever, put a YouTube shit on. But it's
Oh yeah, I got it.
Broadway
Here it is.
Broadway bomb something. I don't know. It's like I had
Raw
that's
footage.
me. This is right when I came in. I mean, I was right ahead of these guys. I didn't skitch the whole time. I skitched to get ahead of them and then just stayed there by pushing. So
That's you?
there's me. There's Captain America, we called him. That was Mark Shapiro. This is Kiefer, who's actually a beast, who's won multiple times now. And then I think this was the front pack. So this is me winning. I was hyped, talking about getting first. And then this guy gets in my face.
I want to hear this.
I won't copyright strike you.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome.
So who gets in your face?
This guy right here.
27-47. You're done. DQ, man. You caught up to us, sketching us. You love to sketching us. That's
He
right.
was adrenaline.
He sketched. He sketched. No way. He sketched.
He sketched.
1, 2, 3.
Who cares?
Is this the old guy?
This is the guy I was telling you about. He was
second
so
place
mad.
guy?
He was so mad. And like, I'm like, yeah, I sketched. And like, it's an underground race in New York. Like, you lost. I got here faster. It's about getting here the fastest. You know, like, what are you talking about? Like, and then the guy who was like, so he got third place and he admitted he sketched too. You can hear it later on. He's like, I did too. And
Oh man, it's awesome.
but he was tripping out about it. It's pretty funny. Dude he was so angry. I was laughing at him.
You said he was old. Like, how old is he in comparison? We say
he was probably like in his 50s.
Oh,
know?
really?
It wasn't like
Okay.
he wasn't like old, but like when you're 26 and
Right.
some 50-year-old dude, 55-year-old guy comes in and like wants to like compete against these skateboarders who like we all knew each other, right? Like it was a pretty cool community, the skate world, when I was skating at that time. So we all knew each other. We all knew who the fastest people, who to look out for. Like Kiefer, dude's he's a beast. He probably still is someone to look out for. If get good, Boomer. Yeah, thank you. Exactly.
Idiots. All right.
Yeah.
Let me go and read off some of these super chats and subscriptions really quick and Rumble
Sure.
rants, and
Mhm.
then we'll continue on with skateboarding here.
Sure.
Jose came in and says, "Is there a way we can see pictures from Adam's modeling career from beginning to end with his interview?" Yeah, threw some of those out there. Thank you very much, Jose. Appreciate that. And Steel Leg of History says, "Freely, the best song ever, helps me when I feel low."
Thank you, buddy.
There you
That's
go.
mine.
Freely,
One of my
yes.
songs.
Diana, Diana came in and said, "Going to follow up and agree with Robert, who is a sweet man as well. Adam's chat family is close knit and 100% supportive. We are blessed." Diana followed up with says, "The ones that do department store catalogs and advertising would be not to crust." Is that what is not to crust?
I don't know what that means.
Diana, stop with your crazy lingo. We don't understand. Dude says Adam being shot at and has been shot. So like shot from a camera and shot with
Camera. Yeah.
And then dude followed up and says, "Most rules are created because the competitor did something the organizers didn't want. It's just the
Right.
adult version of the kid that owned the ball." Right. And Janice came in, helped us reach our goal of 20 memberships today with 10 gifted memberships. Janice, thank you very much. That is outstanding. Hitting our goal today of 20 new memberships for the channel, with 10 coming from Janice. Greatly appreciate that.
I'll be right back.
Sure. If you guys are just popping in, we're interviewing Adam Crigler. He's he's been on the show a million times. Usually you find him on Wednesdays, but realize that never really had an opportunity to like sit down and talk about his history. You know, when Side Scrollers started, we pretty much did a test show. It was like, oh, this works great. And then we started doing the show on a day-to-day basis. And I thought it'd be a really fun opportunity to just sit down and talk about Adam's career. Joe mentioned early on, he's like, listen, I know about Adam from Timcast, and but I didn't know all this about him. And that's the entire idea behind this show and doing interviews is to get to know people on a deeper level and ask them about their career and their life and their professional careers and everything associated with it. So it's been really fun to talk about this up to this point. And For those of you, we're absolutely going to get into, Tim Pool and Tim Cast. I think that's a really, it's an important part of this story, and lots of good questions there. So we'll get to that very, very shortly, but I appreciate you guys popping in. If you haven't, hit the thumbs up button. And if you're watching over on Rumble, do me a favor, hit the follow button, as we are itching close to 3,000 followers over on Rumble, which we love because, hey, it's all organic. You guys want to be here and you guys want to watch this stuff. Also, quick reminder, go ahead and subscribe to us over on YouTube at the Side Scrollers Plays channel. It's where we do all of our gameplay stuff now, which is why you've been noticing we haven't been doing it over here on the Side Scrollers channel. We're doing it over on the @Side Scrollers Plays channel on YouTube. All right, let's go to continue, man. And you let me know whenever you need to roll. But you appreciate your time, dude. It's been great today. We haven't even got into the good stuff. Okay, so. So you're skateboarding at this time. You've won the big, the Brooklyn, the Broadway bomb. Okay, you've won this. You have peaked in longboarding at this time. It
felt like it.
Right. At what point, and I think that the natural bridge here, right, is you're skateboarding, right? And this introduces you to where a lot of people know you from, I would imagine. Initially, you were introduced to a lot of people through Timcast and Tim Pool. So I'm guessing this is where you met Tim?
I'm trying to imagine like when I actually met Tim. I don't think I was riding for Bustin anymore. I think I had actually... So Arbor Skateboards actually offered me a position on their team, and I opted to take it. I did give Bustin a chance because they were making a pro model for a different rider, and I was like, "Hey, I have these wheels that I know you guys are working on, and I really like them. Like, let's put these out as like." My nickname was Crispy Crigler. So people would be like, Crispy, like when they see me skating, because like my tricks were crispy. I didn't come up with it. My buddy Solomon named me Crispy, and I wanted to call them the Krispy Kremes because they were kind of similar in color. These wheels, it just would have been great. And Bustin was like, "Hey, we're not doing that." And in my head, I'm like, "All right, well then I'm gonna go with Arbor because Arbor's offering that they'll make me a board that I want to ride, like a custom board. It wasn't like my pro model or anything, but like I got to design it, right? So I started riding for Arbor, and I got to design my freaking board. And it's sad they don't make it anymore, but it's freaking awesome. I have a few copies of it, so I don't have to worry about it. Like I could probably ride it for the rest of my life. But it's called the Arbor Catalyst.
When you say design, does that mean like the physical shape of it or the actual artwork on it?
Hold on, I'm just grabbing it.
Okay. The Krispy Kremes, the Krispy Kriglers. Look at that.
So those were the wheels, but this is the board. This is the board that I designed. Okay. And I wanted it to be perfectly symmetrical. All right. I wanted to have tails. Like I can kickflip this thing. I could double kickflip this thing. Heel flip. Like I could probably do like a varial kickflip on it. This is 40 inches long. And you can ollie this thing. But you can also like bomb down hills on it. It's not carbon fiber. Yeah, carbon fiber top and bottom. Or no, fiberglass. Fiberglass top, fiberglass bottom. It's just a really dope board. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. I just don't skate as much as I used to.
Skating's not as big in Sweden as it is over in Brooklyn.
No,
in New York.
No, there's actually a skate park that's near me. It's not very developed, but I see skaters. There's actually a really nice skate spot in my in-laws' town, like an hour away. Like really sweet concrete park. It's actually pretty dope.
You see that a lot with people who played any sort of sport growing up, where they kind of pull away from it for a little bit, maybe not by choice, but they have other things going on, and then they want to revisit it, at a certain point, and they find that they either physically can't do it as well as they used to, and it's kind of a shock to them, right? Or they just stop altogether, right? because age is the great
Well,
undefeated.
I
you know?
think I mentioned to you, I think I've talked about this on the show before about why I stopped skateboarding as much.
Mhm.
It's because I split my nuts open. Remember?
Yes,
I split my sack on this board. So I was olling over trash cans, and it's very long of a board, you know, and you don't do that on a longboard, but just the way that I landed, I yeah, I think I got 9 stitches in my nut sack. And
boy.
luckily I didn't nothing happened to my actual balls. But I did lose my I don't want to say my balls but like that energy, you know what I mean? Like that, like I'm gonna go throw like skateboarding. You have to have no fear. You have to like know that you're gonna hurt yourself, and then once you are okay with being hurt, then you're able to actually try to excel because the board will hit you in the shin. The board will freaking. I mean, it just you're gonna slam your bones, slam your elbows, hit your shit. It's gonna hurt. Skateboarding hurts. I mean, you could be all suited up and whatever, but doesn't matter. Like, the board can catch you somewhere and it can hurt you. And I don't know. That really it damaged my desire to push. Not completely. There's multiple things that actually happened, and enter Tim Pool. So when I was in New York, I would go to this Magic store. I never really played Magic. I had a few friends that played Magic. So every so often we'd play. And then I had a group of skateboard friends that we were all hanging out, and someone mentioned Magic, and someone else was like, "Oh yeah, I played Magic." And then like we all kind of looked at each other. They're like, "Do we all play Magic the Gathering and like have never like this never happened? Like we never actually talked about it?" And it's like it turned out like a group of us that all hung out all the time that were part of the skate scene played Magic, but like never with each other because we didn't know that we played. And then like it we basically a Magic group was born, right? So I started playing Magic with these guys, and I don't know, a couple months go by and I found a couple different Magic stores that I liked. And I was in this Magic store in Brooklyn, or I was skating by this Magic store, so Bustin' Boards was on the block, right? So here's this block right here. Here's where
Mhm.
Bustin' was. If you go down like 6 stores, there's the Magic shop. So like I was at this Magic shop often, right? Because I actually worked at the Bustin' shop when I rode for Bustin'. I actually was the one who painted the boards. Like I hand painted, fuck, I don't even know, probably like 1,000 Bustin' boards. And you might actually, if you got a Bustin' board, I signed it myself, so you might actually have my signature. Um, so I went in one day, and they also did D&D nights, and it was a D&D night, and I was like, "Oh, no Magic, huh?" And I heard someone, "Oh, you play Magic?" And I look over, and there's Tim. Tim was walked in to like get Magic cards or whatever, and it turns out he plays Magic. And I was like, "Yeah, you know, there's no Magic going on." And he's like, "Yeah, that's what they told me." And like we talked about Magic for a little bit. And I didn't know who he was, right? And I was going to play Magic with that group of skateboarding friends later on. We were playing Commander. And I was like, "You got a Commander deck?" You know, like, and I think he said, I don't remember what he said, yes or no, whatever, but we all had like multiples. I was like, "Yeah, if you want to come play, come, you know, come over and play later. We're going to meet right now." And he's like, "All right, dope." And he ended up going to play, and the next day he got an apartment next door to where I was at, where we went and played. It was kind of weird actually, like so quick. Like he was looking for an apartment, I guess, and ended up was just like, "Oh yeah, this is cool. Like you guys are cool. I'll just get the apartment right here." And then like
Yeah.
he was like our neighbor, like straight up, like the next day he was like our neighbor.
Is
And
that? I mean, that was that a little unsettling looking back on it. Like it seems like what was he doing prior to that? Where was he living prior to that? To the point to where he's just like,
I don't
well,
know. I don't know. I guess he had just got back into town or something. This was right at the time that he was still at Vice, but like I think he was about to leave Vice. and go to what the fuck was that company? I don't remember what company gave him this crazy contract, but like it was in Miami. Anybody know in chat? It doesn't matter. Whatever. He was still at Vice, but leaving Vice, and I think was coming back to New York for something to meet with somebody and needed an apartment, and just ended up getting an apartment like right at my neighbor, like basically the same building, but it was like 3 buildings in a row. So yeah, that was odd, I guess, and that's how I met Tim.
Okay. So you guys form this relationship through magic and playing cards, and you're also skateboarding together, I would imagine. So you guys have a pretty good bond, I would imagine. You guys have a lot of similarities, things you
Yeah,
like.
Tim's cool. Tim's funny. There's side of Tim's that I really miss. Like I miss his friendship. There's no denying that. Um, I don't miss that he's a absolutely sore loser that made me hate Magic the Gathering. He enjoyed playing it when he played it, but when he was winning, but when he was losing, he's a terrible loser, which ruins games, not just Magic, just games in general. You're playing against someone who sucks at losing.
Let's go back to the Wikitia article about you.
Oh goodness!
Okay.
All right, sure.
This is the final time we'll go back to this as we have it, because look, it seems like it's been pretty accurate so far. So we'll see.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty close.
Pretty good, which is
Sure.
also quite unsettling that everybody knows this about you.
Yeah, I guess so. Huh.
It says in 2016, Crigler and I guess your wife settled near Miami, Florida, to work with Tim Pool on his YouTube
Right.
channel.
Well, not on his YouTube channel, actually. That's not correct. Because the place, fuck, I can't believe I forgot the name of this company. So he got a job and a huge bonus, and like went down to Miami to work at this place, this company. I'm so annoyed that I can't think of it, because I was gonna work for him also. And so my wife and I, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she obviously became my wife. And so we moved down there because he wanted to do a show with me. And basically Tim cast IRL, but 5 years prior, or like 4 years prior. And, we moved down there, and I actually met with them all, met with the CEO, and like me and Tim, and we were talking about like what we wanted to do. Basically Tim cast IRL. And they were like, "Oh, this sounds fantastic. Like, we'll get you guys a studio, whatever." Because like he was working for them. He wasn't solo, right? His YouTube, he had a YouTube, but like he was making content for them, and so that what the show was actually going to be on this on their site.
Fusion.
Thank you. That's what it was. Yes.
So, well, hold on. So she pitched this idea. I guess
Yeah.
you both pitched this idea, or he pitched?
Yeah, I went with him. Well, he pitched to me, and he was like, they want me to do stuff, so like let's do the show. And I'm like, all right. So I came down to Miami. I got a bed. He gave me the master bedroom. So me and my girl, because like he was single. So we all lived in this freaking farmhouse. It was like this. It was in the middle of farmland. And it was a pretty cool house. It was massive. And it never panned out, right? But me and Tim, we skated a lot. There was a basketball court in the backyard that we never used for basketball. We just skateboarded. Like he does a lot of flat. He's really good at skateboarding. Like Tim, I don't know if you guys know, Tim's a freaking beast of a skateboarder. Like he could do some crazy tricks. So he could probably be sponsored, honestly. But yeah, obviously he has no need. But he made me a better skater, and we compete. We were good competitors. Like skateboarding, it's about yourself. But if you have someone else who's pushing you, you actually get much better, much faster. So him and I would like push each other to get better at skating. And he started going to the parks, and he was like, "Come on, let's go skate this park." And I'm like, "All right." So we were skating this park, and that's when I broke my tailbone. So I actually
Tailbone, your balls, bullets.
Yeah.
What
I'll tell you
medical
what,
history?
I would rather split my nutsack again than break my tailbone. The tailbone was so much worse than splitting my nutsack open. I'm not joking. It was horrible, dude. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't shit. I couldn't like. I mean, I could, but it was like insanely painful to do pretty much anything. Moving at all was horrible, dude.
Hmm.
And a tailbone, you really can't do much. You can't like cast anything. You just have to let it heal. And oh man, it sucked. And but that was like another blow to like me wanting to be a skateboarder. Like I just was like, dude, I don't what am I doing, man? I'm miserable. You know, I was in my early 30s. I think I was like 33 at the time. And dude, it sucked so much. And that was really the last time I got aggressive in skateboarding. I mean, when I was in Maryland or even Jersey when I was living with Tim, like we would skate, but I wouldn't go ham. I would just enjoy. I would like ride the ramp and do the things that I was comfortable doing and just enjoy the skating aspect. Although Tim did push me and I figured out how to tray flip thanks to Tim. Like he's got a good way of he's very competitive, but he likes to also be the best. But if you're not affected by that, it's whatever, you know. So like I enjoyed the push from him. But anyway, so we're in Miami,
Right.
and that shit fell through. Fusion
Why?
didn't do anything.
Yeah. Why? What? Like it seems like it's pretty basic.
Well,
The idea of
I'll
like,
tell you why. I
yeah,
think. All right, I think that I think Fusion was having issues, and it wasn't going as big as they wanted it to go. They wanted to compete with Vice. That's I think why they grabbed Tim because Tim was working for Vice. Uh, I don't know if he thinks that he's got like someone says like he started Vice or some shit or like I don't really know and I don't really care. Like it's not really anything I care to look into, but I think that's what Fusion was trying to do. They were trying to compete with Vice, and it like didn't work. I went to their like I've been to the studios Fusion, or well, I don't know if Fusion's still a thing, but like it was empty. The studios there, it was just like it felt like a front almost, and it was actually a cross between like Telemundo and something else, or it was
Disney
like
ABC. Yeah.
Disney ABC and
Mhm.
Telemundo. Is that it? Or
Yep.
some sort of
Univision.
yeah, Univision, that's it,
Mhm.
right. So, like, they were trying to create something, and it didn't work, and Tim actually, there's this famous rant from Tim Cast IRL where he's talking about the golden handcuffs,
Right.
and he had these like, he wasn't allowed to go do what he wanted to do, like, we couldn't actually do the show we wanted to do anyway because they wouldn't have let us, right? So, I think Tim kinda just gave up on Fusion and let his contract run up and, like, stop working for them, basically, and, kinda screwed me over because I was visiting Sweden, and he, like, moved out of the house and turned the power off. So, like, I got back, and he had left. I didn't even know. I just got back from Sweden, and, like, he was like, "Oh, yeah, I moved, and by the way, the power's off." And now this is Miami in fucking August. So it's, like, 115 degrees, muggy in this house, like, he sold some of my shit to like he had some random guy come in like he didn't want to bring anything with him so he just brought in some dude and he was like, oh, I just didn't have him go in your room. And I'm like, yeah, but like the rug, the kitchen stuff, like I there's still a bunch of shit that just you sold that were mine. And he was like, oh, my bad. And I was like, dude,
So
just
this
like
is
zero respect. It was really annoying.
so this is in 2016. Fusion goes up in flames, kind of, right? He departs. He says,
That sounds about right. Yeah, something like that.
but
2016.
it seems like that just from a human to human aspect, that just seems like something you probably like the idea of selling someone else's stuff without them knowing.
Yeah.
It seems like something just like a lack of social awareness almost, which is
Oh
ironic
yeah.
because
Oh,
that's what he does for a living.
Tim's definitely on some spectrum somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand some of the things that he does, and I understand very much other things that he does. The more I've gotten to know who he is as a person, so
Well, they say about people, on the spectrum, right? They're extremely focused. They're laser focused on certain goals, certain
Oh yeah,
activities, and some of the social,
facts.
right, and that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so and a good amount of time passes. So 2016, he just up and
Yeah.
leaves. You are
Yeah.
in Miami, and
Well, I know I go back to Miami and he moved, so
Right.
I rented a box truck and spent 3 days moving my shit into a box truck and drove it across the country to Arizona to my mom's house, and just stored it in her garage because like me and Nisha, we were kind of like going to spend like time. She has an RV here. It's parked out in our driveway now, but like it's like a tiny house. She turned it into a little apartment, and she was going to school, so I would just kind of spend time in there. I had some money left over from modeling, and I just kind of hung out in Sweden with her. Like we lived in Stockholm for a while out of the RV, and I skate around Stockholm, play Magic at the Magic stores, and just kind of live. And it was a good time. Like we got to know each other really well, and then we moved to New York, and I lived in New York for about 3 years. And I did a little bit of modeling. I did a little skating, not as much as I used to. I was kind of over New York at that time, but she really wanted to live in New York. But we got a dope apartment. It was like the nicest apartment I've ever found in New York. My roommate's still there. It was 2 floors. It was like a house in Bushwick. Had a backyard, it had an alleyway, had a parking spot, like at a front yard. Like what the hell? You can't find that shit in New York. It's so rare. Um, at least not for cheap and available. Yeah, most of those places are like family homes that people stay in forever.
so you're bounced around. You're back in New York, but it's several years. I mean, are you having a conversation with Tim at this point? Like,
No,
are you?
I hadn't talked to. I stopped talking to Tim. I only talked to like Tim and I met. We hung out and played cards a little bit, and then he got this job with Fusion and wanted to start a show, and then we went to Miami, and it like never panned out, and then he kind of like screwed me over a little bit, um, and then I didn't talk to him for 3 years,
And
not
then,
one time.
then you just get a call out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey,
Well,
Adam."
before that, I mean, I was living in New York for 3 years, right? Or like 2.5 years, I don't remember exactly. And my wife and I decided, like, all right, let's just go to Arizona. Like, we're kind of done with New York. She didn't know what she wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to design video games, and I started doing like video game courses, learning how to code. I learned a lot of Unity. Like I know how to code simple games. Like I could make like a blockbuster or block breaker, alleyway kind of vibe. I could actually design like overhead isometric Zelda type of game or like a RPG turn based stuff. Um, but it's very, very time consuming. So instead of doing the coding for it, I started doing a lot of like I spent a few months just really focused on like doing a storyboard, um, writing the different characters, doing all of the items that I wanted in the game. I have 2 games actually fully fleshed out that I kind of want to do one day. Like they're freaking awesome games, and one is based on a book that I want my mom to write because she is an artist and she came up with like a bunch of different things, and I don't want to like say what it is because keeping that close to the chest. But uh I was really excited. Like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make video games, right? And so me and my girl, we moved back to Arizona, and we kind of like started living in Arizona for a little bit, and it was chill. And she got a job, and I started getting a job. I started working and trying to put my feelers out to like who might actually want to be involved in making a video game with me. And I think Tim, I don't remember what spawned this conversation between Tim and I, but we were talking about video games and like he was interested and he was like, "Hey, that show we never did. Would you be interested in doing like this show now?" And I was like, "Yeah, no." not since the last time. Like whatever happened. Like the fuck that. You know, like you left me high and dry in Miami. He was like, yeah, but I'm hosting. Like I'm gonna do it this time. And I was like, I don't know. It's what's weird is like the day before he called me and asked me, I told my wife, I'm like, you know, I feel like I've missed opportunities in my life, and I'm not gonna pass opportunities up. If an opportunity comes my way, I'm gonna take it. And straight up the next day is when Tim asked me to come out to New Jersey and do Timcast IRL with him. So I was, I had to ask my wife though, because like I had moved her.
Right.
We just moved again. You know, she had just gotten a job. She was gonna be a a shop dive master for some cool dive store in Tucson that goes on like diving trips down in like the Baja of California. So it was tough. I was like, I'd have to uproot her yet again to basically take a gamble on Tim again, right? But I did, and yeah, I forgot my epic Europe tour. Oh, my wife's actually in chat. Did you?
Nice.
Is that what you came over here to say?
Uh-oh. We have extra side stuff brewing.
I don't remember that.
So much has happened in Adam Crigler's life. He doesn't remember what's happened.
Okay.
Well, let's
Yeah. Okay, that's true.
Is
Well,
the
he
epic...
wasn't hitting me up. Yeah, he was trying to get you. He was like trying to talk to you into like. Yeah.
Hey, what do you?
He was trying to get.
We can't
Okay,
hear. So
I know. I'm going to relay now. So
Okay.
my wife's like, Tim was actually trying to convince her to like get me to like get a bus or like do some sort of show, driving around on a bus or I don't know. You know, Tim's like focused on like getting a show that works and whatever that was, like an idea guy. You know, he started getting money and was like, I'm gonna put money into stuff. Like he wants to make video games. He's working on a card game now. Now he's got a coffee company, but I think that's just to spite me. And like there's all this like anything that he can do to like push forward. So now he found something that works with Timcast IRL. So I don't think he really needs to worry about trying to risk new shit, right? But like I guess like he wasn't talking to me about it. He was talking to her about it, which I think he knew that like he had to convince her because he he sold a carpet that the carpet that he sold was hers. Well, I mean ours, but she's the one who picked it out. So she was the one who was most upset about it. She was like, "What the fuck? Like, damn, you know?" So like, I mean, you know, whatever. So, and then yeah, me and Nisha actually did do an epic freaking Euro tour where we drove around Europe. But I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't say before, like right around the time, right after and me failed the Miami thing,
Mhm.
I booked the biggest job of my life, which was the Chanel job. And the Chanel job really allowed me to live comfortably in Sweden and like go fly back and forth whenever I wanted because it was the biggest job in my career, hands down. Like it's crazy how much these like Uber top models make when you find out, all right? And it's very good, very good money. So I was able to just like kind of coast for a while, and so yeah,
okay, so you're coasting, you're kind of just living life, right? And
right.
Tim syncs up with your wife and you and like, hey, 2020 rolls around. I got this idea for Timcast.
Well, it was 2019, the end of 2019. It was
Okay.
like December of 2019, and he threw it out there, and
So
I
he
was like,
reaches out.
So yeah, then
but you eventually give in, and you're like, okay, let's go, let's do it. I'm gonna take this not give in, but you jump on the opportunity after the day before. You're like, I'm not gonna not take opportunity. So the opportunity pops up, you relocate, and you launch the show, and it seems like pretty instantaneously, it's a pretty damn big hit.
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, I don't think that people saw Tim live consistently like they did because of Timcast IRL. You know, Tim had been doing videos, so you know, and Tim and I we've known each other, and I'm very comfortable in front of a camera. I mean, it was my profession, right? Being in front of a camera for all of my adult life, so being in front of a camera is second nature to me, and being a wise ass is also second nature to me. So calling Tim out and like being being a wise ass to Tim was very easy to do. And I think people really enjoyed that relaxed atmosphere that was created because Tim is very serious and like I mean he's funny too. Like if you if he's around people that are funny. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he can be funny. Um but by himself, I don't know if he's as funny, but like he's got pretty good wit, right? I mean, so Tim and I worked really well together. Like we had just a good back and forth, right? Like I'm not someone who just I'm not a yes man at all. And that caused such good dynamic between him and I because I mean everyone else in that house was a yes man besides my wife because you know she didn't whatever work with him, but I
Well,
mean she did, but
but
yeah.
you know, you did this big stream where you talked about, you know, the breakup, right? And I went
Yeah.
through and I watched that, and you talk about, you know, COVID was a big player in kind of
Huge.
how
Huge,
things
yeah.
happen. You
Everyone
know,
was locked in,
right,
so
right, and so you're pent up around everybody, and it's, you know, you're getting everybody's little things you don't see on a day to day basis if you just come and go in an office type setting, right?
yeah.
Um, so you launched the show, and it's making like pretty fucking banging money, right? You got huge audience. They're making, you know, thousands of dollars a day, I guess. I don't know. Like what does it look like for with Timcast? And what did the structure look like? Was it a 50-50 partnership? Was it a like how did that
Well,
function into everything?
so Tim said it was just gonna be me and him, and I was like, "Cool." And when I got there, that's when I met Lydia, and I didn't mind her at first, but then I found out, like, she wasn't a professional. She didn't know she had never produced anything before. She actually slid into Tim's DMs and, like, was flirting with them, and, like, that's how she got the job. It was like it all was all kinda gross when you find out about the whole thing, you know? It's like and then she didn't have a I don't know, and we were all getting paid the same. It was, like, split 30, 30, 30, 33, 33, 33, whatever. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, you know, you and I are supposed to do this, but, like, she was terrible at her job. Like, you know, it's easy to say this in hindsight, but she really was. And, like, Tim fucking would blow up on her so much because she fucked up all the time. And, I don't know, I kinda was, like, fed up with the shit, and it really didn't bother me that much until Tim's girlfriend, which I didn't even realize he had a girlfriend because they were sleeping, and then I found out Lydia was actually married, and then Lydia started treating Tim's girlfriend like shit in front of Tim and just being a fucking bitch to, like, pretty much everyone, and I was like, "Fuck this girl," and it was, like, COVID and, like, all the shit, and then I was also going through this thing with abortion and like you know, you've seen my video, so it was kind of like it was a very tough subject for me. And you know, here I'm like facing reality, daily live, re-evaluating my life and the shit that I've been through, and because I had an abortion, and like maybe it is murder and like Lydia's like it is murder, but like her and Tim had this like horrible way of acting high and mighty like they knew what's best and like oh you should just move to the country and like whatever and it's like you don't like I know they've we've gotten into so many arguments like off camera like in the kitchen where they're just sitting there like jerking each other off about like how they know what's best. And I'm like, how do you guys you can't say that because you don't know everyone's situation. Like everyone's situation is so drastically different. Like you guys are fucking assholes, right? For even thinking that you just know what's best for everyone. Like fuck that. Like no one could know what's best for everyone. I was sick of that attitude. I don't like that attitude. And it was just this one episode where Tim said something about being pro-choice and Lydia just turned and looked at me, and I hate that I could just see her because, like, I sat here, Tim sat here, and Lydia sat here. She faced me, and like I had to constantly look at her, and she would make these faces like she was agreeing with everything that Tim said, and I'm like, you have no fucking thought on your own. She once Tim Tim told me this was off camera, but he said that uh Aurelian Gerard, I forget his name, skateboarder. He's the best skateboarder in the world. And I said, "Oh, I don't agree." And he looked at me and was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't agree. Like skateboarding is an art form. Like saying he's the best skateboarder in the world is like saying Picasso's the best painter in the world. Like it's a perspective. Like you do you think it is? I don't know. I don't think he is." And he looked at me, he's like, "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about." And I'm like, I was a pro fucking skater, dude. Like I know skaters. I worked for a skate magazine. Like I sold skate magazine. I worked in a fucking skate shop for years. Like, what the fuck do you mean I don't know what I mean? Like, and then Lydia goes, "Yeah, Adam, you don't know what you mean. What you're talking about." I'm like, "Lydia, first off, shut the fuck up. All right, second off, what the hell do you know about skateboarding?" Like I just can't stand Lydia. I think she's a fucking bitch. It's pretty well known that I don't like her. Yeah, there's only two people that actually I don't think I have her blocked, but I should block her because she blocked me. And anyway,
So tell us how you really feel. I'm just kidding.
so
Um,
no, so Lydia turned to me during this episode when Tim said he's pro-life and just was like this, just like this disgusting look on her face. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, fuck you, bitch. Like I have to say something, right? So after the episode ended, I was like, Lydia, like you have to understand, some people have had abortions and maybe they are seeing that it is murder. Like it's like if you want to change someone's mind on something, right? Saying you're a murderer, like if someone had said that to me, and like I would have been like, "Fuck you, you're an asshole." But I came to it on my own. Like yeah, I had an abortion. Like it's something that I had to forgive myself, and it took me years, and it was like traumatizing. Like it's still, I'll forever never let that go. It'll always be something that weighs on me forever for the rest of my life, and it sucks. But like, and I want to talk about what it feels like so that people don't make the mistake that I made. And also, if you want to change someone's mind on abortion, you can't just be rude. You can't just be like, I'm morally superior to you because you believe in something I don't. Like that energy is how we stay divided, right? And I'm sick of that shit. So I kind of was like, I need to say something because she's pissing me off with her morally superior attitude that she has, that not just abortion, but it was like every single thing that she ever said was about that. And same with Tim. Tim has that same attitude as well. And I don't like that. I'm very opinionated. Yes, but I never claim to be morally superior. I will argue my points to the freaking death, but I'm never going to argue and say you're wrong and I'm right, and therefore you shouldn't be listened to anymore and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right? There's a big difference. And I started saying like basically that, like I have to be able to, like I was explaining shit, right? And Tim was like, "Bro, you need to chill out." And I'm like, "What do you mean I have to chill out?" Like I'm just
was
like,
this on the show or not on the show?
No. This is right after we cut. I started talking to Lydia about this, and we all lived in the same house. It wasn't like there was no like off or like after work. It was like always on. We were all there, right? Always. It was like we couldn't go anywhere. We were locked in this house together. So I guess Lydia started crying or something. I wasn't there. But, like I walked out of the room, right? And then I'm so stoic, Lydia on Twitter. Bullshit. And I guess Tim was like, "Hey man, you can't do that." The next morning, like he sent me a message, and I was like, what do you mean? Like I need to be able to speak my mind, dude. Like if there's issues, I have to talk it out because like that's what I do. I want to talk shit out. I don't want to have something not be spoken of and just freaking fester. Like that's not me. If something's bothering me, I'm gonna say it. All right. And if it's bothering me, I'm either gonna deal with it or you know what? I'm just gonna cut the shit out completely. Right? It's two options for me. But ignoring it is not good for anyone. People always need to address whatever it is, because like fuck it festering. That's cancerous on your life. You know, it's energy that you're wasting. and I'm not about that. So he said I needed to like chill out and like whatever. And I was like, dude, if I can't speak my mind, like I'll happily walk away. And he was like, well, I guess that's it then. I'm like, what do you mean? And I
How,
guess he took it as though it was an ultimatum, like me
right.
or Lydia. But it wasn't. It was me saying, when I said I'd happily walk away, I would walk away if I wasn't allowed to speak my mind. He had just lectured his audience about having golden handcuffs, not being
Mhm.
able to speak his mind like a month before that, right? And here he's telling me that I can't speak my mind to someone that I work with while locked in a house together. By the way, she's a fucking complete and utter bitch to everyone in the house and like leached off of Tim. Dude, I can't stand Lydia, and there's so many things that I don't want to like keep
Right,
going
right,
down
right.
that rabbit
Well,
hole because it's
well,
like
so
whatever. But
this is what, 6 months into this experiment, the Timcast experiment,
kinda,
right?
yeah. I mean, we started in February
Th-
2020,
Then the
and
lockdowns hit pretty much right
then
after that, right?
August 13th is when I was fired.
Right.
So it was a good run, right? I guess about 6 months of me being on the show.
So
So
there's the equation or the metaphor of like Lydia is the Yoko Ono of
no,
the
no, no, no. And you know what? Maybe because guess who broke up the Beatles? It was John Lennon.
right. It
It
wasn't
wasn't
Yoko Ono.
Yoko Ono.
Right.
It
Right.
John chose to leave because he let Yoko control him.
Yeah.
Tim chose to fire me, and well, he chose to let me go of the show
Mhm.
because he thought that I was giving some sort of ultimatum, and it's like, no, I was trying to speak my mind. And if Lydia was pissed me off about some shit that I was going through, and this is what really pissed me off, and this was like the nail in the coffin of like my friendship with Tim is when I told him that, look, the reason why I was getting so heated about this shit is because I had an abortion and I'm like dealing with being in this online political landscape where abortion is a big conversation. Like it is. It's a wedge issue that is constantly. Roe v. Wade is now overturned. Like it's constantly in the political landscape. And when you have someone like Lydia who's and there's a lot of like pro-life, pro-choice, and like all this shit. And it made me think about things a little bit more. And I was getting red pill. I mean, I was never a Democrat. People like to say, "Oh, we went from Democrat to then being fully red pilled." No, I was just apolitical. I didn't pay attention, right? And I feel like that's what most people are like.
Mhm.
But it was really an awakening. A lot of people saw me become aware of what's going on in the world, the realities of um, being accountable for your actions. And I was facing the shit that I went through and the decisions that I made. And it was tough. And maybe I did like allow my child to get murdered, right? And it's like, it's a freaking crazy thing to say out loud. But like, if you truly believe that abortion is murder and you had an abortion, then like, fuck, what does that mean? So like I was going through it. And like Tim looked at me and said, I don't believe you. I think you're just trying to stay on the show. Like I think you just want to keep getting paid. And I was like,
He didn't believe you about the abortion,
he
or
didn't
your
believe me that I was bothered, that I
oh,
was like, that I was, I like, had this freaking like shame,
mhm.
guilt hanging over my heart about having it, about
Right.
realizing that like, fuck, maybe I did allow that to happen. And like
Mhm.
he looked me dead in the eyes, like, I don't believe you. I think you just want to like keep getting paid and keep getting this like bufu money, And it's like it was all about the money for him. He just wanted me to, because we were making a killing, dude. Like
Right.
we were doing awesome, and like I saw the numbers. I know the numbers of what Timcast ROL was doing, and it was fucking banging. Like I loved it. Like we could have been doing better than he is now, guaranteed, if we were still doing the show, right? I mean, maybe that's me being presumptuous, but like I think we had something really awesome going on, and like all it was about the money. I think he wanted an excuse to fire me because he didn't want to pay me what I was getting paid.
Well, so there's clips online of Tim talking about this, and like I said, I don't have Tim here to share his side of the story, and I'm sure if he wanted to share his side of the story, he would. But there's clips of him saying that he didn't feel like you were pulling your weight, right?
That's such bullshit.
Why would he feel that way? Is it strictly about money, or like I don't
No,
want to put words in-
the reason why is because when he and I had a decision about changing the split when Lydia and I and him were getting 3 ways, whatever.
Mhm.
He took Lydia out of that completely and gave her like a salary and said, "All right, I'm gonna," and like he took a larger chunk and then gave me a percentage, like the other remainder. And I was like, "Yeah, you should get paid the most, Tim. It's your show, right?" Like I said that to him. But the way that he was reinvesting into his own company and hiring people and trying to like make the business bigger, he was taking the money that he was making and putting it into the company. So he wasn't making so on paper, when it at the end of the day, it looked like I was actually making more than him. And I technically was because he was choosing to reinvest his money into the company. And he was saying, I keep hearing this too, where he says like Adam was getting paid more than me on the show. And it's like, dude, you agreed to that. Like you still had a bigger cut. And like you're upset that I was like getting just the chunk. A week before he fired me, he told me his accountant was having issues paying me because we were making too much money.
Mhm.
And it's like, dude, it was easier for him to fucking fire me than to figure out how to pay me. Like, dude, it wasn't about me not pulling my weight because dude, I researched so much shit. Like all I did was research because I was sick of him telling me that I was wrong. So I would wake up, what are we talking about? All right, cool. And I started paying attention. Like I wasn't on Twitter. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't in the political landscape. And then I got activated and I started freaking reading about shit. I started coming up with articles and like talking about stuff and being able to have the freaking monologues that I had on that show that went viral a few different times. Right. And it's like I couldn't sit at a table with Tim and be told I'm wrong over and over and over again. I had to learn, I had to like come up with, I had to understand what I was talking about. So I was able to actually contend. No, that shit is Lydia whispering in his ear because Lydia fucking hated me because she's the type of person that wants to keep her head in the sand and want to keep everything comfortably numb. Right. That is not me at all. I want to address things. I want to call people out for their bullshit. And I do. That's why some of my friends call me an honest asshole because I call it like I see it. I don't care. Like if you get upset about that or think that I'm being some sort of an asshole, like that's fine. You could think that. I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to call your shit out because that means when you're around me, you're not going to be like that and you're actually going to be more yourself because you can't like fake it around me. And I don't want people fake around me. I want you to be as authentic as you can. And like I would call her out so much about all this shit that she eventually stopped hanging out around me because I can see that that's uncomfortable. If you'd rather not change and face yourself and like face the shit that you know is you're doing wrong, I don't know. It's like whatever. And I think that she wanted me out of the situation, and I think that's her influence on Tim.
So
Like
you think,
Yoko and Lennon, man. Yeah,
so
maybe.
you think that she looked at the situation, kind of saw an opportunity for her and said, "This guy's kind of standing in my way," or do you feel like
Oh yeah, she wanted
feelings
Tim.
her feelings
She
kind of took over
wanted
for
Tim,
Tim?
dude. She definitely wanted to be with Tim. Fuck
Mm-hmm.
yeah. She was such a bitch to Tim's girlfriend, who's very sweet, by the way. And Tim, see, I think the fucking internet, I think Lydia probably told Tim that I was talking shit about his family. And it's like, well, I was talking shit about his brother who stole from me. Like, yeah,
We'll get
okay.
to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, all right. But it's like I never like his girlfriend's awesome. Like I don't know if they're still together. I'm assuming they are, but and his other brother is really awesome. I really like one of Tim's brothers. Fucking awesome. I miss that guy. Anyway,
so okay, so it's very obvious that like the abortion conversation was a very big wedge issue, not just in life, but for you, it's very personal to you, right? And it felt like they were kind of discrediting your thoughts and your feelings, your thoughts on it, which ultimately was a big wedge issue for Tim Cast IRL, and a big decider in the direction of.
No, it was used as an excuse to get rid of me.
Right.
Tim wanted me gone because of the money. Tim, and probably not just the money. I mean, I was when he's not he's surrounded by yes men,
Mm-hmm.
or at least he was. Yeah, I know a few people that work for him now that seem pretty cool. I mean, I've never met them in real life, but like I follow them and they're pretty fucking based.
Mhm.
So I don't know if he's still surrounded by yes men, but it wouldn't be surprised if he's surrounded by yes men. I never considered Tim my boss. Never. Not one time did I ever treat him like my boss or act like he was my boss. You know, we're always have been equals, and I think that bugged the shit out of him. That when he said I'm not pulling my weight, no, no, no. It's that I wasn't freaking towing the line, like I wasn't his subordinate, that kind of shit. Like if I did that, if I catered to Tim, he would have been fucking happy. But I never did, and I think that pissed him off.
What kind of the show did very well, and money obviously appears like it was an issue as well. The idea of him reinvesting his money into the show, into the brand, into everything, and
Yeah.
all that makes sense, right? But like I've seen suggestions that the show was making like 10 grand a day. Is that anywhere close to accurate?
We did some days, yeah.
Some days, and it was all built around super chats, no sponsorships.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep. Super
Okay.
chats.
Hmm.
No, there was sponsors.
Other sponsors
He-
as well.
Yeah, he did. Well, he kind of, he had 3 channels, so he kind of mix and matched. I don't know. He did like Patriot Supply. I think he still does stuff with them. I don't watch Tim,
Right, right.
so I don't know. Maybe,
Well, so
but yeah.
okay, so you get fired. When you were fired, was there any sort of like any sort of go away payment or anything like that? Did you give any money to go away, or was there an NDA
No,
signed or
I
anything?
mean,
Or
oh, that's a whole different conversation. Much later on. No, Tim hired. He basically like was paying a bunch of people to like hang out. Like Ian. Ian was Well, he was getting paid to like work on a card game. I don't think it's even a thing. Um, I hope so. It's a cool idea because Tim hates Magic the Gathering, thinks it's busted, and wants to make a better version of it. And I don't know. He's an idea guy who's got money now. So like he's got all these things that are almost coming to fruition. I don't know if they're still working on them or not, but I was getting a salary outside of Timcast IRL, and like Tim and we talked a few times. Like we still skated, and like he told me that like Tim Custarelli wants to do like more of a Joe Rogan, more of like interview people, like how it is now, like bring a new guest, talk to them, and like instead of what we were doing, which is like him and I just ranting about shit, which was a completely different show. And we were like, the plan was to actually start something different, right? And actually like do like a Adam and Tim show eventually. So I kind of was like, all right. And when it first happened, I did want to leave. I was fucking like, I was pissed. Like, I wanted to just bounce. Like fuck this. Like, why would I stay here? And my wife was actually also working for Tim, but producing music and stuff. And she produced and made one of the music videos that came out. I don't remember the name of the song. Will of the People, I think. So that video, Will of the People, she produced and put together. She actually got the team that actually did all the animations and like made that whole thing happen. So she was finally like working for what she went to school for, which was music and audio engineering and stuff. So I was kind of like, well, fuck, like, I just moved my wife again, and like I'm uncomfortable, but like she's now finally doing something for Tim, and like Tim, I could feel like he still wanted to like have me around, and I was like, well, all right, well, whatever. I don't know, I just I never was in the same room as Lydia after that moment, though. Like I couldn't be in the same room with her. She'd walk in the room, I'd just leave. Like I didn't give a fuck. Like fuck Lydia. I never talked to her again. I might have like made a comment once or twice later on, but like I couldn't be around her anymore. I just like I don't like her energy, and it was very obvious. Like so, I honestly I had hope that Tim and I were gonna do something. I had hope that maybe Tim would apologize to me, and he did actually. he did come to me and say, "I'm sorry." And I actually was shocked. Like, I went to my wife and I was like, "He actually just apologized to me, like, for the way shit went down." And I was like, "Damn, like, that's insane. Like, I can't believe that." So, like, I had this, like, hope that, like, maybe Tim would fire Lydia and, like, maybe not bring me back on Timcast IRL, but, like, you know, I don't know.
When did that?
And,
When did he apologize? How long ago? Like how soon after you being fired, leaving the show, and the apology? How long did that take place?
I don't know, maybe, like, a month or 2 afterwards.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you actually, okay. So you were holding out hope, right?
Yeah.
Lydia's no longer on the show anymore.
Right, I heard about that.
If Tim was to invite you back on to be a co-host on Timcast, number one, would you be
He
interested?
couldn't afford me.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Well, I live in Sweden. I live in Sweden now.
that's true.
Like,
That's true.
right? I was like, it's a little late now. Like, he did actually offer for me to come back, but without um any extra, like, without a cut at all of anything. And
It's
I'm
more of
like,
a
dude, me,
salary type thing.
yeah, well, continue getting the salary that I was getting, that, like, all the rest of the people that worked around. And it's not like I did nothing. Like, I had all my tools with me. Like, I'm very good with construction. Like, I can fix things that are broken. I could hang a TV because I have a stud finder. Like, I have, like, I'm a carpenter. Like, I know how to do shit. And, like, so I'm very much, like, was the guy that, like, oh fuck, like, how do we fix this? Adam, like, like, I built the Timcast RL set, the original one. And then, it's, so I was just kind of around and honestly just holding out hope that something would happen. And, eventually Tim, man, how thank you, Camelot. Thank you, buddy.
You know,
I don't really
hey,
know to where we're at time
I'm
wise.
I'm I'm just gonna say this. Me, you, and Cam need to do a show. God, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
Be
Cam's awesome, dude. He's hilarious.
I love talking. That'd be God. That'd be awesome. Just I'm gonna put that out there right now.
Okay.
Writing it on my notes.
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so look, so you move on. That's the ship, the Timcast IRL ship has sailed at this point, right?
Well, I mean, no, because I was living in Jersey, and then they were moving to Maryland, and, like, I helped find that new spot. And,
mhm.
like, Tim was trying to find a spot that me and Nisha could live in with him because, like, the plan was to do something with me. Like, Tim and I have a good dynamic. Like, can you imagine if me and Tim did a show right now? Like, this shit would go fucking, well, first off, because of what happened in the past,
Right.
but also, like, because I haven't changed. Like, I still, people get so mad at me when I make fun of Tim. And it's like, I literally made fun of Tim all the time, like, live in front of him to his
Mhm.
face. I don't understand. Like, people think, like, I'm so butthurt. It's like, no, I'm not mad at Tim. Like, I love my life. I love where I'm at. People are so, they love just adding history and weight to things that they see online. So it's kind of crazy.
Well,
Uh,
okay, so let's fast forward to right now, right?
okay.
The Timcast IRL has sailed, right? There was an opportunity. They
No, you
moved.
can't fast forward. We can't fast forward yet.
Well,
No,
well,
no, no.
let me just say this. Do
All
you
right.
hold any resentment towards Tim right now?
No. Mm-mm. No, not at all.
Okay.
I
Just
think he made a bad choice. I think he made a bad decision.
Mhm.
But as he said to me, he's like, show's gonna do well with or without you. And it is doing well. Like, good for him. He's a focused individual. Like, all right. And so
Cool.
I don't hold resentment to it. I think I think it could have gone in a better way. I think he really tried to keep my friendship, but he doesn't understand why he lost it in the first place, right? Because he didn't see it from my perspective and refused to see it from my perspective because Tim only likes his own perspective and likes being the one who's right. So that's why I was so shocked that he apologized to me, because I was like, "Are you showing me that you feel some semblance of guilt. Like, what is this? Who the fuck are you? So
Mhm.
because I saw that, I actually in my head I'm like, fuck, maybe there is a chance that Tim and I could work again together, right? That's why I moved to Maryland, right? Because this the whole thing with Lydia and like Timcast IRL, like whatever. But my wife was still working for Tim and she was still doing music. Tim was just basically paying me to hang out, and like I was still skating with him. Like we'd still skate
So you've been fired, but you're still getting paid?
from Timcast IRL. I was fired from the Timcast IRL show.
Right, right.
Yes.
But you're still like an employee
Yeah.
as a part of the larger Tim Cast business.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. I agree. Nothing about that made sense.
Yeah.
But like it was basically like getting free money to live
Right.
in Tim's place. And it's like, all right,
It kind of feels like you're being paid to kind of be his friend.
that's literally what it was. That's what it felt like. And
Huh.
it's like there's other people around that was like that too. Like Ian, for example. Like Ian wasn't doing anything. Like Ian, I love Ian. Ian is awesome. Like he's such a fantastic person. And I want him to be a co-host. So after I was fired, Ian wasn't doing anything. He was just like playing video games and like hanging out, and then like he would play Magic with Tim. Like that was basically his job. And like talk about like game ideas. And Ian came on my show and he was my co-host. And I remember doing a deep dive on Donald Trump, right? Oh no, it wasn't Donald Trump. I was doing a deep dive on fucking March Madness or on marijuana maybe, or what the hell why were we talking about? We were talking about something about weed, like why weed was originally banned back in the day. I don't even know if it was a deep dive. I think it was just an episode. And like Tim heard some of it because he I was like, fuck, I think Ian said some shit that YouTube might get me banned for. And Tim was like, oh yeah, Ian's a threat. You can't have him on your show. You should stop having him on your show.
And
And I
you're
was
doing
like,
this show while living in Tim's
in the
house.
basement. Yeah. When we moved from the basement upstairs to the other studio, because we moved studios. And then I set up my studio in the basement because Tim was like, here, yeah, do your show, man. Like, I want you to be successful. He straight up, like, after he fired me from Timcast RL, like, Ian or Tim actually helped me set up my show. Like, I'm very grateful for Tim. Like, people think that it's all like, I hate Tim. Like, no. As in, like, what I said on my show when I did, like, this is what happened between me and Tim, half of my brain, like, misses his friendship and like misses the side of Tim that is cool, right? But I feel like money and greed and like his narcissism side, I can't stand, right? And it's like I hate that side of him, but I also miss the side of Tim that loves animals, right? Because like Tim, dude, he's got a soft heart, but it's like you know what it's like? It's like that fucking material that when you punch it, it's really hard. But if you just kind of like, you can flow in it. And what is the name of that material? I don't remember, but
I know what you're talking
uh,
about. Yeah.
yeah. I don't remember the name of that, but that's kind of like Tim. He's very hard, but it's like if you just like see him, like, yeah, people love to assume that I just hate Tim. It's like, no, I miss his friendship, man. Like we were good friends. Like we were roommates for a long time. Like non-Newtonian fluid. Yes, thank you. And so yeah, I don't know. I was holding out hope, and Tim kind of like made it seem like we were gonna do something. So I moved to Maryland with him, right? And then we had a good time in Maryland. Like Maryland was dope. Like it was a beautiful spot, and we had this like constant thought of like doing stuff together. And I would help work on shit around the house. Like I helped build up the skate stuff a little bit. Like, but he hired some professionals to actually make the skate ramps. But I don't know.
This
I just had hope for it, right?
this whole thing though, it just seems so odd, right? The idea of you've been fired off the show, but you're still employed to kind of hang out. You do kind of handyman stuff, and around the house, just to help out. But he's giving you the space to do your own show because he wants you to succeed. But there's
Yeah.
there's no hard feelings because his wife's still working for you, doing production for this. The whole dynamic just seems like, for lack of a better word, just batshit crazy.
Well, it's
Like,
not. It wasn't professional. Nothing about it was professional, right?
Right.
It's like maybe I hope that he's got a little more professional, you know, because like I want people around me to be successful. So, you know, and I felt the vibe that he wanted me to be successful, and it was like it was cool, right? And we even got to the point where it was me, my girl, Tim, and his girl went out to dinner one time, and we basically convinced him that Lydia was a problem. Like she was not good for the show. She wasn't very good at her job, which he admitted to, and she wasn't. She was terrible at doing the cameras to the point like when I was on the show, I was like I need my own stream deck because she's constantly reading chat and not paying attention of when to change the cameras, which is
Mhm.
like the most important thing. Like stay out of chat. Like chat is there, sure. You're either reading chat or you're on the show. You cannot do both. And it's annoying. And I can tell when someone's reading chat and like, and dude, this is where I first saw this. And I just talked about this yesterday on Twitter. I can't stand it when someone's reading chat, sees something funny or a good take, and then like adds it to the conversation that they were just ignoring to like talk to say something as if it's their idea. Like that shit frustrates me, man, so much. I get so annoyed because it's so obvious. If I see a good take or a funny thing in chat, you best believe I'm gonna say your name and say that's fucking funny.
Well, it
You know what
sounds
I
like
mean?
Tim is a logical mind. I don't think he takes things personally. Oh, I'm sorry, that was snot lips. No, I'm just kidding. So just a little fun time there. Yeah, I hear you, man. And that's
Well,
look.
no, hold on. I'm not done. So
Oh,
we're out
please.
to we're out to dinner, and like Tim admits that he's right that that Lydia should be fired, and said that he's going to fire her, and said that he's going to bring me back on the show, and told me that, and like they needed someone to like do what Lydia was doing, and Nisha's like, I'll do it. So like we actually reached this point where he said like we're gonna bring you back, like let's fucking do this, and then like he fucking pussied out, like he didn't he we got back home and like nothing changed. Lydia was still on the show. I was like, what the fuck? And he just kind of like shrugged his shoulders, and I'm like, all right, well that fucking sucks. And then like a couple months later, he came into my side of the house, which I lived in the in-law suite, so I never saw anybody over there, right? I had my own little bubble. It was awesome. You know, and all I did was just like sometimes Tim would walk in and you want to go skate. I'm like, yep, that's my job, basically. Um, and he brought in an NDA, and which was something that I helped bring up because, like, I think Lydia could have fucked him over. Like if she like made some lawsuit because like he was her boss, she was married, there was some shit going on with them, like it was fucking some shenanigans, and then the NDA started happen, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna sign that because like I want to be able to say my side of the story. Eventually, I'm gonna say it, and I did. You know, I made my video, and he even walked in and he put it down on the table. He's like, I know you're not gonna sign this, but you know, and then it's like you put it down. I'm like, oh, what's that? But then it wasn't just an NDA. It was like he would have owned my show, the Crigler show, or actually Adam Cast IRL at the time.
Mhm.
Oh no, I think I had changed it because he actually asked me to change the name, which you know, whatever. I changed it, the Crigler show. But he would have owned the music that I wrote while working for him. Like he would have anything artistically that I would have made during the time of employment from previous too, not just like moving forward. And I was like, I can't sign that. Like you would own my song Freely. Like he would have owned that. My song The Forge. Like I wrote these things while under his employ and he would have owned them. Like, now fuck that. Like there's no way I'm gonna sign this.
Y-
And
You know what it sounds
it,
like?
what?
It sounds like, as you said, it wasn't professional, right? Up until that point,
Correct.
and it sounds like this is him trying to get the horses and rein in the horses a little bit, and be
Yeah.
and actually, you know, put this paperwork, things that should have been done at the beginning, that when you're small and you don't have a massive hit, and you're not making tons of money, you don't think about, right?
Mm,
But
yeah,
things
true.
that probably should have been done in the start, that
Facts.
you know, so
Yep.
And if you don't sign it, then it's like, well, he didn't sign it, and I can't have him on anymore. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the big divider, you know. And because I remember that exact same situation. There was a point with Screw Attack where it started with two friends, and we kind of grew and grew and grew, and it got to the point to where shit, we have employees now. Oh shit, when we're talking about all sorts of stuff. Oh shit, we're on the internet. Oh shit, we should probably be able to sign NDAs. And and all of a sudden you go, oh man, we got 10 people who work for us, and I got to get them to sign stuff. It's like, so yeah, you got to kind of take that step back, and it's kind of covering your tracks a little bit. So, I mean, I get that. I do understand that. So you don't sign the NDA, then what?
Oh, my wife and I told my wife, I think in 2019, I don't want to rent anymore. Like my mom had a spot in her house, like we could have lived there. But I said, I don't want to rent anymore. No, because of Timcast RL and Chanel and like the things that I've done over the past couple of years. Like I made some good money and I had some savings and was like, let's buy a house. Like I think it's like we could pay a mortgage. Why would we pay rent? Like let's get a mortgage instead. And then we're like, well, where do we move? Right? I mean, I've got family in Arizona, Chicago, Florida, Minnesota. Like my family's all over the place. Well, my mom is in Arizona, my dad's in Chicago, so it's like. And then she's like, I really miss my family, and her family is really close, and like my family's like, I don't know, they're close and sporadic, and I've always been on my own. I moved around. You heard, like I was back and forth as a kid, and then like back and forth throughout my 20s. So like it was for me, like I lived in Europe multiple times in my 20s. Like it didn't matter where I lived. Like I'm fine, right? I'm happy here, and like I'm online anyway as my job now. And she missed her family. I was like, well, all right, let's. Well, and I hate the American education system. So if we're gonna raise kids, I would love for them to be near her parents, right? Her family. So it kind of worked out that like at that time, and we found this insane house. I live in a Hallmark card, and like my plan is essentially like this is my summer house, and like maybe where I raise my kids, and I want a house in Texas. I think my dad's gonna move to Texas eventually, which would be pretty rad. I have a lot of good friends in Texas. Now even more with the base staff crew that like we're all homies now, and like half of them live in Texas. So it's like Texas
Dude,
is rad.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. One of
What?
the things that I wanted, I mean, and most of your friends are in Dallas, where I'm at, right? I want to get a studio space, and I want to do this live. I want to do this in person. So if it ever comes around, man, and you're thinking about making your way to
I will.
Dallas, man, hey, we're gonna do it fucking live, man.
I don't know if Dallas is where it's gonna be, but I'm gonna have a house in Texas though. That because I have dual citizenship. People call me like some expat, and it's like, fuck no, I'm an American, baby. I'm never gonna let go of being an American. I love being an American. Yeah, I'll walk around here. People know I'm American. It's very obvious. I'm loud. I'm blunt. I'm very opinionated. Yeah, Sweden is very uh, nice. People are very nice here, which is actually nice. And people care. There's no trash on the ground, which is crazy. Like going back to the States, you are shocked to see how much trash is everywhere, how trashy the country is. It's like it's so sad how many people just throw trash on the ground. It's one of the most obvious or craziest things. But I don't know. I like being American. I don't ever want to let go of that. I'm a American Swede now. So although technically it's not fully through, I have another year of my papers or whatever. So I have a temporary visa, or not visa, but like whatever the next thing is. But I'm married to a Swede, so it's kind of like whatever. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I was going to ask you about coming back to the U.S., and that's interesting to hear for sure. Okay, so we're I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about Tim or that whole situation before we kind of move past that? Okay.
No, yeah. I mean, the only thing, the thing is that I just want to say about Tim is like what people don't understand. Like Tim and I had known each other for a while, right? They act like what they saw is everything, right? They're like, so when I say something about Tim, oh, you're so butthurt. Oh, get over it. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I am over it. Like, what? Like, I still make fun of certain friends of mine for stupid shit that they did like decades ago, right? So, like, why not? They're my friends. The closer you are to me, the more I make fun of you. You should know that, Craig.
Yeah,
I
man,
make fun of you all the time.
every day. Let's go.
As much as I can. I mean,
And I try to fire it back, but how can I do so with such great cheekbones? It's ridiculous.
you know what I'm saying? I mean, you're not so bad yourself. Those cheekbones, you got some cheekbones.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, but you're quite old now, so
It's true. They're starting to sag a little bit. It's ridiculous.
you're only like 2 years older than me.
I
too.
know. I know.
That's the funny part.
The grumpy old man. All right. So you may come back home to the United States. Okay, where are we at right now? Like, what are the goals for you immediately in a year from now, from a YouTube perspective and a Rumble perspective and a just entertainment perspective? That's from Blabs, by the way. Blabs wants to know, what are your goals?
My goals, I think after I'm going to Europe or UK next tomorrow or Monday afternoon, I leave for UK for a meetup, which is very cool. Forbidden Frontier is something that I see being huge for me. I love talking about ancient civilizations and like researching stuff about that because it's a freaking bottomless pit of conversations about the history of humanity. And Luke Caverns was on the show. We were learning like the Mayan civilization. I didn't even know that they had like hundreds of thousands of books. They documented everything on paper. Like most of their GDP of the time, whatever, went into making paper so they can make more books, so they could write down the knowledge. And the Spanish burnt all their books. Like I didn't know any of that. So like, what the hell were their books about? And there's one book that is still 4 books weren't burned. And one of them, you know what it is about? Like geometry and like the how the planets align and like mathematics. It's like, dude, they were fucking on top. Like I had no idea. Like people confuse like the Aztecs with the Mayans. Like all of them were like ritual, sacrificing, and it's like no, that was the Aztecs, but the Mayans were actually really smart. So like the more I look into it, the more I'm so infatuated with wanting to know more. And we're going to be going to Stonehenge. I'm just going to say we have plans, right? Plans. So Forbidden Frontier is awesome, and I think there's
you go to Stonehenge while Gary's in town for the meetup?
Yeah, next Thursday we're going to Stonehenge.
Let's go.
So Forbidden Frontier is going to go film our first thing together at Stonehenge, just to kind of like check it out. So I'm really excited about it.
So my brother was at Stonehenge like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
And he said that you actually can't, like, it's just all roped off. You can't like walk through it
that
like
makes
you
sense.
used to be able to. So,
yeah, that makes sense. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Fucking COVID, man. Tell you
Yeah,
what, it's
that's
crazy. Well, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So Forbidden Frontiers.
I think I might bring my daily show back. Not Monday and Tuesday, but instead of gaming on Rumble, I might still game on Rumble, but I think I actually might just do my daily show on Rumble and locals and give more of a reason why, give more things to people to support me. I want to continue that, right? I just started Friday Night Jams again. I used to do that every Friday night where I'd play music, and I'm going to do that for locals. Yes, the daily show is coming back, Shags, and I really miss doing interviews. Like I like this, right? One-on-ones. There's so much, like I love Base F Monday, don't get me wrong, but it's like I couldn't do that every day, right? That's like it's a lot. We're all very opinionated. We all want to hear our stuff talk, and like I love that show. I think Base F Monday also could be huge, and if it was a little more structured, and we actually talked about it, we're gonna actually try that. We're gonna do like focus segments. I'm really proud of seeing like Normal World. Quarter Black Garrett's Normal World is doing fantastic. It's such a good show. and him and Dave Landau are fucking great together. So I just think that I like in my modeling world, right? I talked to you about like I never really treated it as a profession. And I'll be honest, the only thing that I treated this YouTube world that I've done as professionally was being consistent. I've been very consistent. Like I go live and I was doing segments and then I kind of let that go because I needed a break from politics. But I want to start treating it more professionally. I want to start giving it a little bit more of a go and actually being serious about it. If I have kids one day, right, I want to be able to provide for them. And I think that like I'm doing all right now, but like I think I can do better. I think I can push to really try to be successful in this career, like make actual videos. Like I've never made videos. I've just gone live, stream of consciousness. That's how I've always done it. And I'm very good at that. I've gotten really good at reading out loud and then like bringing points home or just on the fly. But I've never made like actual videos where I like this is a segment. I'm going to talk about it, pre-record, write something. Like Georgia Giant Slayer makes fantastic videos, right? Or like uh, Nerdrotic. Like these guys are making fantastic stuff, and I'm like, I could do that. I've never actually tried to like write something. Instead, like my vibe has always just been I've just been like, I'm live, and all right, I talked about this, cut that, and put that up as a video. But I'm making mistakes. I'm like, and then people are commenting like, "Oh, learn how to fucking read," and instead of like, because it's live, it's a cut from a live show. I'm not like trying to make like a perfected video that people put out with editing and stuff, and maybe have like an editor do something for me.
Mhm.
So that's my goal, is to be a little more professional with what I've been doing with this YouTube world.
Dig in a little more. I love it. I love
Yep.
it, man. That's great. Well, shit, man. We've gone almost 3 hours, and
Wow.
I got to be honest, man. I love these type of conversations. Like, I think
Yeah.
these are really important, and I feel like I know you a hell of a lot better now, which is awesome. And I just appreciate you like letting me pick your brain for 3 hours and sharing it with everybody who's tuning in and watching and covering whatever it is the hell we talked about over the last 3 hours, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, Craig, I enjoyed this, and I enjoy coming on Side Scrollers a lot. I really I enjoy making fun of you. I enjoy talking about video games, and I would like to interview you. I feel like we should do. I should do an interview of you on my channel. You should come over
Sure.
on the Crigler show, and we'll do who is Craig.
There's a lot that people think they know, but they have no fucking idea. So yes,
I like that. I like
would
that.
love to. So well, that's great, man. I love it. Well, obviously, you'll find Adam on Wednesdays here on Side Scrollers. You can also go find him over on Rumble and on Locals at the Crigler Show. One more. I think we have a couple quick Rumble rants before we go.
Sure.
We have. Yes, Diana was saying. Diana was talking about how her craziness, and says, "Yep, I have to accept pain to do well, as in riding horses. When you start your fear of losing the edge." And she says, "Craig, my crazy keeps you sharp." And that was my top crust, meaning catalog models are not that. Saying like catalog models are a tier below. And
not all the time, but yeah, kind of. It's not like, well, there's a difference, like high fashion models, like Chanel, or like Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein. Like there's like, because photography modeling is different in studio modeling versus like runway. Like there's some runway models I've seen in my life that I'm like, that is a fucking ugly person. Like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, I think we
Like,
all seen that.
Runway models are but this is not like fat people. I'm not talking like
I hear
big
you.
people, just like weird looking faces. It's like, but if they have like the slender body and the walk, like, I've seen some weird runway models. Like I did some runway, but like I think I did a Calvin Klein runway show, but I'm not a runway person. And
Man,
I never liked runway.
I don't even understand what the fuck I'm looking at with runway. Some of the shit they put on these people. But Whatever.
Well, I did modeling when they actually had like nice clothes to sell, or no clothes, as Abercrombie and Fitch. But
Right.
Yeah.
Dude says Adam wouldn't have let Tim get away with attacking his audience over the Eliza Blue situation, and I would probably still be watching. Would have loved seeing Adam with some of the guests Tim's had on.
Thank you,
dude.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. If you guys do enjoy this, please head over to patreon.com/sidescrollers and support us over there. We'd greatly appreciate that. Adam, thank you again for your time, buddy. Really appreciate it. And
My pleasure.
guys, I'll see you guys. I'm going to be live again over on the Side Scrollers Plays channel. I'm probably going to be just a nice, chill, positive content, dudes, here in a little bit.
Phil.
I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm going to be playing, but it's going to be fun. So I'll see you guys shortly over
Just
there on
good
the Side
vibes.
Scrollers Plays channel.
Good
It's
vibes.
positive, good vibes.
Detractors can get racked.
But in the meantime, you guys, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got to go get it. I'll see you guys in just a little bit and tomorrow for Side Scrollers. Have a great day. Bye-bye.